Hello everyone, this is AIPMT 5 test discussion and you may have given the test, फिर से करते हैं, कट हो जाएगा. Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. This is AIPMT Test-5 discussion. So you may have given the earlier AIPMTs also and now you are moving towards UPSC Prelims which is on 24th of May. 3 महीने बाकी है आपके पास. अब बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स जो है मॉक टेस्ट सॉल्व करना शुरू कर चुके होंगे. लास्ट फेज ऑफ योर प्रिपरेशन, रिविजन्स भी स्टार्ट हो चुके होंगे, मॉक टेस्ट देना भी शुरू हो गया होगा. एंड वी आर ऑल्सो प्रोवाइडिंग वेरी गुड ऑल इंडिया प्रीलिम्स मॉक टेस्ट. हियर आफ्टर दिस टेस्ट 5 वी आर गोइंग टू हैव Panchasutra test. So there will be total 5 all India mock test under it and you must give these quality tests so as to evaluate your preparation standards and be in the competition and try to evaluate your standards. Okay, first we will discuss the geography section and you can see the nature of questions. Those who haven't given this test but watching this discussion want to solve these questions, in the description of this video you can download the question paper as well as model answers. Okay, so first question we can see here, it is related to tropical desert. So similar question has been asked in the past and you can see that the themes from the climatology, oceanography and geomorphology, they are almost same. Every year they will repeat these themes one way or other just by changing the framing of questions. So here 3 statement based that UPSC is asking, we can say more number of questions like this. The tropical desert are often located along the western margins of the continents. This is true, right? So if you take the examples like Sahara desert is there, Atacama desert is there, or we can say that Namib desert is there. So all these deserts are located along the western parts of the continents in the tropical areas. Now statement 2, let's try to see whether these statements are correct as well as explaining the statement 1. ठीक है, तो these regions are under the influence of horse latitudes. अब देखिए हमने डेलिबरेटली हॉर्स लैटिट्यूड वर्ड यूज किया है. 20 to 30 ये नहीं लिखा है, 20 to 30 डिग्री नॉर्थ एंड साउथ. अगर ऐसे लिखते तो आपको डायरेक्टली आंसर मिल जाता कि वो सही है. बट हॉर्स लैटिट्यूड, दीज लैटिट्यूड्स आर ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज हॉर्स लैटिट्यूड्स and you know why, because this is subtropical high pressure belt and in this region the winds are very feeble winds, we can say there is speed is very low. अब इसकी वजह से क्या होता है, वहाँ पर जो है जो भी एंशिएंट टाइम्स में शिप्स मूव करते थे तो उनको बहुत ज़्यादा रोइंग करना पड़ता था एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट दे यूज्ड टू थ्रो देयर हॉर्सेस इनसाइड द सी टू रिड्यूस द वेट ऑफ शिप. ठीक है, तो इसलिए उनको हॉर्स लैटिट्यूड नाम दिया गया है. ठीक है, तो ये सही है एंड वी कैन से दैट दिस इज वन ऑफ द रीजन ऑल्सो व्हाई दिस वी कैन से दैट रीजन अलोंग द वेस्टर्न सी, बिकॉज द ऑफशोर ट्रेड विंड्स, वी कैन से दैट offshore trade winds are blowing here in this region from land to ocean, and along with that we can say that there is subsidence of air in this region. ठीक है, subsidence of air है, subtropical high pressure बेल्ट है तो वहाँ पे सब्सिडेंस ऑफ एयर है. एयर जो है ऊपर से ठंडा होके हेवी होके वो नीचे आ रहा है एंड इट इज स्टेइंग नियर द ग्राउंड एंड क्रिएटिंग द हाई प्रेशर. तो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट देयर विल नॉट बी, वी कैन से एटमॉस्फेरिक इंस्टेबिलिटी, जिसको बोलते हैं कि विंड जो है ऊपर जाएगा, कोल्ड मॉइस्चर जो है वो कंडेंस होगा, प्रेसिपिटेशन होगा. इट इज नॉट हैपनिंग हियर, राइट? बिकॉज ऑफ दैट वी कैन से डेजर्ट्स आर. Then warm ocean currents along these coasts increase the humidity of the air. Now when we are talking about desert, increase in humidity, rather humidity कम होनी चाहिए, right? And because of that here what we have is along the western coast in the tropical region there are cold ocean currents flowing. Cold ocean currents especially due to upwelling, okay, due to upwelling like Canaries current, Sahara desert is there. If you talk about the Mojave desert, California cold current is there. If you talk about the Atacama desert, Humboldt cold current or we can say Peru current is there. तो ये सारे क्या है, cold ocean current है. तो ये जो दिया हुआ है ये incorrect statement है. अब cold ocean currents क्या करता है? Cold ocean currents will keep the temperatures colder and that's why sufficient moisture is not available for the onshore winds, any kind of wind it is coming if there is. सो उसकी वजह से क्या होगा कि देयर इज लैक ऑफ मॉइस्चर इन द एयर एंड दैट लीड्स टू वी कैन से एटमॉस्फेरिक स्टेबिलिटी और एरिडिटी। तो ये थर्ड स्टेटमेंट इनकरेक्ट है, सेकंड सही है और वो सही एक्सप्लेन कर रहा है एंड दैट्स व्हाई ओनली वन ऑफ द स्टेटमेंट 2 and 3 is correct and that explains the statement 1. So C is the answer here, right? So this kind of applied question will be asked in this framing, we can say that. Similarly, you can see here climatology again, land surface heat up and cool down faster than water bodies. This is correct, we can say that. So differential heating and cooling of land and ocean surface, because of that there are several effects like moderating effect of sea in the coastal area or the continentality effect in the interiors of the continents. अब इसकी वजह से क्या हो रहा है, अब देखते हैं कि अलग अलग effects होता है, ठीक है, but ये land surfaces heats up and cool down faster than water bodies. तो ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है, देखते हैं स्टेटमेंट 2 और 3 में क्या इसका एक्सप्लेनेशन मिल रहा है क्या. Water has a lower specific heat capacity than the land. Now this statement is incorrect because the water is having higher specific heat capacity and because of that it is able to absorb more and more solar radiation from the sun rays and that's why it is heating slowly. Water surface I am talking as compared to land. तो ये statement incorrect हो गया. Solar rays penetrate to the greater depth in land than water. अब कौन सा सरफेस ज्यादा ट्रांसपेरेंट है या हम बोल सकते हैं कि जिसमें सनरेज पेनिट्रेट हो सकते हैं, इट इज वी कैन से वाटर सरफेस. लैंड सरफेस सॉलिड है और बिकॉज ऑफ दैट सिर्फ ऊपर का लेयर जो है वो एब्जॉर्ब करके कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड जल्दी से गर्म हो जाता है. इट इज नॉट ट्रांसफरिंग दैट हीट टू द लोअर लेयर्स. तो इसलिए ये भी स्टेटमेंट इनकरेक्ट है और हमें इमीडिएटली आंसर मिल जाता है डी इज द करेक्ट आंसर. नाइदर 2 नॉर 3 इज करेक्ट. नाउ नेक्स्ट इज regarding geomorphology now. Continental crust is much older than oceanic crust. This is true. We have observed that nowhere around the world on the earth's surface oceanic crust is older than 200 million years, we can say old. So continental crust is much older than that. That is true, we can say. Ocean crust is continuously being created at mid-oceanic ridges and destroyed at the subduction zone. This is correct and it is also we can say one of the explanation for this. So when we learn about the seafloor ocean spreading or seafloor spreading hypothesis given by Henry Hess, तो वहाँ पर हम देखते हैं कि मिड ओशनिक रिच के यहाँ पर कंटिन्यूसली वोल्केनिक इरप्शन हो रहा है एंड न्यू क्रस्ट इज गेटिंग फॉर्म एंड देयर इज डाइवर्जेंस ऑफ वी कैन से दैट ocean bottom or ocean crust continuously because of underlying magmatic currents, oceanic currents, not oceanic current, pardon me, magmatic currents or we can say that convectional currents of magma. और उसकी वजह से क्या हो रहा है, वो डाइवर्जन हो रहा है वहाँ पर, डाइवर्जेंस जिसको हम बोलते हैं, एंड अल्टीमेटली दैट क्रस्ट when it becomes older it is getting consumed at trenches at the subduction zone where there is convergence of plates we can say. So this is correct. Continental rocks are denser and sink more easily than the basaltic oceanic rocks. Now this is incorrect statement. It is given in NCERT itself, right? Oceanic rocks which are basaltic in nature, they are having more density. 3 grams per cc if you compare. Continental rocks are comparatively lighter, we can say less dense, 2.7 gram per cc. So this statement becomes incorrect. Again answer is C here, only one of them is correct and that explains the statement 1. Alright, moving on. This type of framing is there always in the examination. India is the top producer of how many of the items? So there are several items mentioned, especially agriculture and allied activities. So if you talk about let's say if you have read the economic survey, तो वहाँ पे ये fact दिया हुआ है India is the largest onion producer in the world, contributing to about 25%, 1/4 of the world production, dry onions. Now potato, if you talk about potato, उसी statement में economic survey में दिया है, second highest है. Pulses we can say that pulses में highest है, हम बोल सकते हैं India is highest producer of pulses. मिल्क भी हाईएस्ट है, हम बोल सकते हैं. देन राइस सेकंड हाईएस्ट आफ्टर चाइना, शुगर केन सेकंड हाईएस्ट आफ्टर ब्राजील. ठीक है, तो कितने हो गए हाईएस्ट में? 1 2 3. सो ओनली 3, दैट इज ए इज द करेक्ट आंसर. अगर आपको पता नहीं है तो इस क्वेश्चन को स्किप कर देना चाहिए क्योंकि ओनली 1 ओनली 2 इस स्टेटमेंट में आपको एलिमिनेशन मेथड वर्क नहीं करता है. अगेन बेस्ड ऑन इकोनॉमिक सर्वे वी हैव फ्रेम दिस क्वेश्चन and it is favorite area of UPSC asking like fertilizer, biofertilizer, organophosphate और पेस्टिसाइड्स, ये पूछते रहता है, ठीक है, क्योंकि ये फॉरेस्ट एग्जाम के लिए भी प्रीलिम्स एग्जाम है, राइट. सो दे विल आस्क सच काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस. द NPK रेशियो ऑफ फर्टिलाइजर्स यूज्ड इन इंडिया in 2023-24 was about 10.9, 4.1 as to 1 NPK ratio, nitrogen, phosphorus, potash. Okay. So why we are having such kind of high nitrogen amount? Indian farmers use excessive nitrogenous fertilizers, primarily urea. So it is nitrogenous fertilizer and we are using in excess. उसकी वजह से बहुत सारे एनवायरमेंटल इम्प्लीकेशंस है, जैसे कि सरफेस रन ऑफ हो जाता है, वाटर बॉडीज में ये ऐड हो जाते हैं और उसकी वजह से वहाँ पर यूट्रॉफिकेशन फेनोमेनन हो रहा है, हार्मफुल अल्गल ब्लूम्स बन रहे हैं. उसके साथ साथ में बहुत ज़्यादा हम बोल सकते हैं कि एक्सेसिव फर्टिलाइजर सब्सिडीज भी हम दे रहे हैं और उसकी वजह से हम बोल सकते हैं कि इनपुट कॉस्ट भी बढ़ रहा है. सो एंड देन वी आर इम्पोर्टिंग ऑल्सो लॉट ऑफ फर्टिलाइजर्स. all is creating problem in agriculture sector as well as negative externalities on environment sector. तो ये correctly explaining statement 1 है, तो A is the correct answer. Now moving on. ठीक है, तो प्रधानमंत्री धन धान्य कृषि योजना, again there is one box in economic survey and the scheme is also explained there and it is very important scheme that is in news. So प्रधानमंत्री धन धान्य कृषि योजना, ये जो है स्कीम जो इंडिया के मोस्ट बैकवर्ड एग्रीकल्चर डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स है उनको इम्प्रूव करने के लिए, वहाँ पे एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्टिविटी इम्प्रूव करने के लिए और सस्टेनेबल एग्रीकल्चर प्रमोट करने के लिए ये स्कीम है, हम बोल सकते हैं. सो इट इज़ डेवलपिंग 100 एस्पिरेशनल एग्रीकल्चर डिस्ट्रिक्ट. द स्कीम विल बी इम्प्लीमेंटेड थ्रू कन्वर्जेंस ऑफ एग्जिस्टिंग सिमिलर टू वी कैन से एस्पिरेशनल डिस्ट्रिक्ट प्रोग्राम, right. It create district dhan dhanya samitis led by district collectors, implementation and for the implementation and oversight. This is also correct. All three statements are correct here. D is the correct answer. All right. Now rivers and boundaries between state. So earlier AIPMTs में हमने क्वेश्चन पूछा था, बट वो वर्ल्ड के लिए पूछा था. अब इंडिया के लिए स्पेसिफिकली पूछा है, कौन से रिवर्स कौन से स्टेट्स की बाउंड्रीज क्रिएट करता है, राइट. सो सच काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस विल श्योरली बी आस्क्ड. प्राणहिता रिवर जो है बेसिकली जो महाराष्ट्र में दो रिवर्स है, एक है वैनगंगा और दूसरी है जो पैनगंगा, ठीक है. तो पैनगंगा जो है उसमें वर्धा रिवर भी ऐड हो जाती है, तो पैनगंगा और वैनगंगा जब मिल जाते हैं कन्फ्लुएंस, नाउ इट इज फर्दर कॉल्ड एज प्राणहिता एंड इट फॉर्म्स द बाउंड्री बिटवीन महाराष्ट्र एंड तेलंगाना, वी कैन से. See the map immediately simultaneously. Tungabhadra river from Karnataka, it is flowing and Tunga and Bhadra confluence, headwaters we can say, then it is called Tungabhadra. Then it forms the boundary between Telangana, Andhra Pradesh as well as we can say Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. दोनों पे boundary बनता है and then it meets Krishna, ठीक है. तो this pair is also correct. Then Chambal river, it forms boundary between Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh as well as later on UP and Madhya Pradesh. तो दोनों भी हम बोल सकते हैं, ठीक है. Then Indravati, yes, it flows through Chhattisgarh and then we can say forms the boundary between Maharashtra and Chhattisgarh, then just enters into Telangana and meets with the Godavari river. So we can say that all pairs are correctly matched here. So you may get confused with some of the rivers like Tungabhadra and Indravati. All right. Then ये भी easy question है, ठीक है. आपको सबको पता है अनामुडी is the highest peak in the Western Ghats. डोडा बेट्टा इज वी कैन से दैट हाईएस्ट पीक इन नीलगिरीज. तो कंफ्यूजन कहाँ पर है? अब कंफ्यूज हमने स्टेट्स में किया हुआ है, ठीक है. तो करेक्ट हमें देखना है, यहाँ पर लोकेटेड इन तमिलनाडु बोला है अनामुडी, तो ये इनकरेक्ट है. इट इज लोकेटेड इन केरला. ओके, केरला. एंड डोडा बेट्टा इट इज मेंशन लोकेटेड इन कर्नाटका, इट इज लोकेटेड इन तमिलनाडु. तो इसलिए दोनों स्टेटमेंट जो है इनकरेक्ट हो जाता है, ठीक है. तो पार्शियल इंफॉर्मेशन भी इनकरेक्ट है तो वो स्टेटमेंट इनकरेक्ट है, ऐसे समझना है हमें. ओके. देन द ट्रिकी एस्पेक्ट इज द कमांड ऑफ द क्वेश्चन इनकरेक्ट. वी हैव टू फाइंड द इनकरेक्ट स्टेटमेंट. ऑल ओशन करंट्स आर यूनिडायरेक्शनल इन नेचर. सो व्हेन वी लर्न अबाउट द ocean currents, so most of the ocean currents are unidirectional but not all, right. If you see North Indian Ocean region, due to seasonal change in the direction of monsoon winds, there is also reversal of ocean currents in their directions. तो ये statement incorrect हो जाता है. All ocean currents flow along the continental margins. जरूरी नहीं है ना, north we can say that नॉर्थ इक्वेटोरियल करंट्स एंड साउथ इक्वेटोरियल करंट तो इक्वेटर के अलॉन्ग ओशन में फ्लो कर रहे हैं ना, तो वहाँ पे कॉन्टिनेंट है नहीं, तो हम क्यों बोलेंगे कि ऑल ओशन करंट फ्लो, ये इनकरेक्ट है। ऑल ओशन करंट्स फ्लो अलॉन्ग द ओशन सरफेस, तो उनको सरफेस ओशन करंट करता है, पर डीप ओशन करंट्स भी है ना। इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द थर्मोहलाइन लेट्स से सर्कुलेशन, तो वो क्या हो जाता है, सरफेस से इक्वेटर टू पोलर जाता है, पोलर से फिर नीचे से इक्वेटर की तरफ आता है फ्रॉम द बॉटम, सो देयर आर डीप ओशन करंट्स ऑल्सो। ये भी इनकरेक्ट है, सो 1 2 3 क्योंकि हमें इनकरेक्ट स्टेटमेंट देखना है, डी इज द करेक्ट आंसर। देन yes, we have to identify the climate type. This type of climate is continental with extremities of temperature, मतलब यहाँ पे continentality effect है। अब continentality effect है तो मैं मेडिटेरेनियन क्लाइमेट हटा दूंगा क्योंकि ओशन इफेक्ट है यहाँ पर। चाइना टाइप पे भी ओशन इफेक्ट है, ब्रिटिश टाइप पे भी ओशन इफेक्ट है। मुझे आंसर मिल गया है एक ही स्टेटमेंट में, क्योंकि ऑप्शंस मैं एलिमिनेट कर पा रहा हूँ वो इन्फॉर्मेशन पढ़ के। इन नदर्न हेमिस्फीयर विंटर्स आर वेरी कोल्ड बट इन सदर्न हेमिस्फीयर विंटर्स आर माइल्ड, ये भी एक कैरेक्टरिस्टिक है, क्योंकि नदर्न हेमिस्फीयर में हम देखते हैं कॉन्टिनेंटलिटी इफेक्ट बहुत ज़्यादा स्टीपर है, सदर्न हेमिस्फीयर में लैंड सरफेस कम है, ओशन सरफेस ज़्यादा है। इट एक्सपीरियंसेस लाइट रेनफॉल, तो लाइट रेनफॉल हम बोलेंगे स्टेपी में आता है, ब्रिटिश और चाइना में काफ़ी ज़्यादा रेनफॉल होता है, तो सी इज द करेक्ट आंसर हियर। ओके, ऑल राइट, विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग कैपिटल सिटीज इज लोकेटेड नियरेस्ट टू द इक्वेटर। अब थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूज हो सकता है, आप कहाँ से कंफ्यूज हो गए अब, ठीक है, दोनों में कंफ्यूज हो गए, जकार्ता और क्विटो में। अब इक्वेटर का नाम ही इसलिए गिरा हुआ है कि ये इक्वेटर पे है, ठीक है, बेसिकली कंट्री। एंड इफ यू सी द एग्जैक्ट लोकेशन ऑफ इट्स कैपिटल, इट इज वेरी वेरी नियर टू इक्वेटर, क्विटो, एज कंपेयर टू अदर, ठीक है, तो सी इज द करेक्ट आंसर हियर। आपको थोड़ा कंफ्यूजिंग लग सकता है, तो हमने ये क्वेश्चन इसीलिए डाला है कि आप थोड़ा सा और ज्यादा ऑब्जर्वेशन करें। इससे पहले आपने क्या किया होगा कि इक्वेटर पासेस थ्रू विच कंट्रीज, इतना ही पढ़ा होगा, बट यूपीसी इज ऑलवेज वन स्टेप अहेड ऑफ व्हाट यू रीड और रिवाइज, ठीक है, इंक्लूडिंग कोचिंग, ठीक है, जो कोचिंग क्लासेस होते हैं जितना कर सकते हैं उसके एक स्टेप अहेड ही होता है हमेशा यूपीसी, और इसलिए हम ऐसे क्वेश्चन फ्रेम करते हैं कि आप जितना पढ़ रहे हैं उससे ज्यादा एक स्टेप अहेड जाके थोड़ा सा ऑब्जर्वेशन आप बढ़ाइए आपका, ठीक है, स्ट्रेच योर प्रिपरेशन जिसको हम बोलते हैं, स्ट्रेच योर इमेजिनेशन, लॉजिक, एवरीथिंग, ठीक है, तो यहां पर क्या होगा, सी इज द करेक्ट आंसर। देन नेक्स्ट इज ओके, कंसीडर द फॉलोइंग पेयर्स ऑफ एंशिएंट रीजन्स एंड देयर प्रेजेंट डे लोकेशन। अब आप बोल रहे होगे सर ज्योग्राफी में ये क्यों डाला है क्वेश्चन, पास्ट में आप देखोगे एक क्वेश्चन आया हुआ है मैच द फॉलोइंग में, रिवर्स एंड कल्चरल प्लेसेस, हेरिटेज प्लेसेस, लाइक दे हैव आस्क्ड अजंता केव्स एंड वाघेरा रिवर फ्लोइंग थ्रू इट नियर बाय इट, एंड देन वी कैन से हम्पी जो है, तुंगभद्रा रिवर जो है, ठीक है, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि पास्ट में यूपीएससी ने कैसे क्वेश्चन फ्रेम किए हुए हैं, उसी तरीके से हम भी यहाँ पर ट्राई कर रहे हैं कि कैसे क्वेश्चन आ सकता है, इसी तरीके से फ्रेम हो रहे हैं। एंड हियर वी आर आस्किंग अबाउट द स्पेसिफिक रीजन, एंशिएंट रीजन ऑफ बिहार, वी कैन से दैट रीजन। अब बताइए, मगधा जो एम्पायर था तो वो बिहार के कौन से रीजन में था, सेंट्रल एंड सदर्न रीजन, ठीक है, गया एंड पटना रीजन, ठीक है, तो साउथ बिहार, दिस इज करेक्ट। मिथिला रीजन बिहार में कहां पर है, नदर्न पार्ट में है, अलोंग द बॉर्डर विथ नेपाल, वी कैन से दैट, तो ये क्या है, नॉर्थ बिहार, सही है ये भी। देन अंग प्रदेश और अंग रीजन एम्पायर कहां पे था, ईस्टर्न, जहां पे मुंगेर है या फिर भागलपुर जो है अभी राइट नाउ, तो ईस्ट बिहार, तो ये तीनों स्टेटमेंट और तीनों जो है पेयर करेक्टली मैच है, तो डी इज द करेक्ट आंसर यहाँ पर। ऑल राइट, देन again applied question, the circle of illumination, everyone knows that half of the earth is illuminated always, we can say, हमारे यहाँ पे अभी दिन है तो ये हाफ में सर्कल ऑफ इल्यूमिनेशन में हम आ रहे हैं, बट अगर आप देखोगे अपोजिट साइड में तो वो डार्क में आएगा, शैडो में आएगा, तो ऑलवेज हाफ ऑफ द अर्थ इज, बट अगर देखोगे आप अर्थ इज टिल्टेड ऑन इट्स एक्सिस, और उसकी वजह से क्या होता है कि सर्टन पार्ट, अब अगर हम एक्सिस की बात करते हैं और what you can say that the Arctic circle, Antarctic circle, वहाँ पे काफ़ी अलग रिलेशन बन जाता है। The circle of illumination is the boundary dividing the lighted half of the earth from the dark half. We know that. During solstice, which of the following is true about this circle? अब solstice के टाइम पे क्या होता है? The sun is overhead over the tropic of Cancer or tropic of Capricorn, either of it. ठीक है, summer solstice, winter solstice. अब इस टाइम पे क्या हो जाता है, ड्यूरिंग समर सॉल्स्टिस वी सी दैट नदर्न हेमिस्फीयर इज कंप्लीटली एक्सपोज्ड टू द सनलाइट। अब इस टाइम पे क्या हो जाएगा कि पूरा सर्कल जो है नदर्न हेमिस्फीयर का वो इसमें आ जाएगा सर्कल ऑफ इल्यूमिनेशन में। बट इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द अंटार्कटिक सर्कल सदर्न हेमिस्फीयर का, वो शैडो में रहेगा या फिर डार्क में रहेगा हम बोल सकते हैं। सो इफ यू ड्रॉ दैट सर्कल इट विल बी कंप्लीटली टेंजेंट टू दैट अंटार्कटिक सर्कल। और हम अगर विंटर सॉल्स्टिस की बात करते हैं तो सिमिलरली हम नॉर्दर्न हेमिस्फीयर को बोल सकते हैं कि आर्कटिक सर्कल को टेंजेंट करेगा, एंड दैट्स व्हाई इट इज अ टेंजेंट टू आर्कटिक एंड अंटार्कटिक सर्कल्स। ए इज द करेक्ट आंसर हियर। All right, so always UPSC will ask such kind of questions related to rotation and revolution of the earth, right? Recent research suggests that melting of polar glaciers may result in more volcanic eruption on the earth in future. Yes, recently there was research about it. Now you must be thinking ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है सर, मेल्ट हो रहा है सब आइस, तो उसकी वजह से नीचे से अर्थ से मैग्मा ऊपर कैसे आएगा, इरप्शन होगा, ये क्यों बोल रहे हैं? So we should understand one thing that if you talk about the Antarctic, it is huge continent and huge amount of ice is lying above it, that is exerting huge pressure on that land, and because of that pressure what happens is whatever the rocks are there in that continental crust, they are not easily melted, because when there is high pressure the melting point of that substance also increases. That's why it requires higher temperature to melt. तो इजीली वो रॉक्स मेल्ट नहीं हो रहा है और इसलिए इजीली मैग्मा बन नहीं रहा है वहां पर। बट एज सुन एज द वेट डिक्रीजेस और द प्रेशर इज रिलीज्ड, what will happen is the melting point of those rocks also reduces, and that's why now at the given temperature there will be more melting of rocks and more magma formation. Whenever it finds the path to the surface there will be volcanic eruptions. तो इसलिए हम बोल सकते हैं in future there will be more volcanic eruptions. तो यही बोल रहा है लोअरिंग ऑफ प्रेशर रिजल्ट्स इन इंक्रीज मेल्टिंग ऑफ रॉक्स। ये स्टेटमेंट सही है और इसको एक्सप्लेन कर रहा है, तो ए इज द करेक्ट आंसर। ऑल राइट, द लास्ट क्वेश्चन फॉर ज्योग्राफी। हाँ, प्लेसेस इन न्यूज, अगर आपको ये पता नहीं है क्योंकि ये ऑप्शंस में एलिमिनेशन मेथड वर्क नहीं करेगा तो आप ये क्वेश्चन स्किप कर दीजिए, बट स्टिल यू कैन अटेम्प्ट इट बिकॉज कोरियन पेनिनसुला यू नो दैट देयर इज येलो सी, आप ये तैयार करते हैं। कच्छ पेनिनसुला हमेशा न्यूज़ में होता है, वो क्रिमियन पेनिनसुला के वहाँ पर है, तो वहाँ पे सी ऑफ अजव है, तो ये भी आप जानते हैं, ठीक है, ये दो सही है। इफ़ यू टॉक अबाउट मुसंदन पेनिनसुला, अब आप शायद थोड़ा सा डिटेल में पढ़ते नहीं है, बट इफ़ यू टॉक अबाउट द स्टेट ऑफ होर्मुज, वहाँ पर ये मुसंदन पेनिनसुला है जहाँ पे हम बोल सकते हैं कि ओमान का एक एक्सक्लेव है और वहाँ पे बेसिकली पर्शियन गल्फ है, ठीक है, तो हम बोल सकते हैं कि ये भी सही है। बट कोला पेनिनसुला जो है वहाँ पर नॉर्थ सी नहीं है, नॉर्थ सी इज ऑन द वेस्टर्न साइड जहाँ पे हम बोलेंगे कि नॉर्थ ऑफ यूके फ्रांस है, बट नॉर्थ सी नहीं है यहाँ पे। कोला पेनिनसुला जहाँ पर रशिया है वहाँ पर व्हाइट सी है, एंड दैट्स व्हाई दिस पेयर इज इनकरेक्ट, तो यहाँ पर आंसर होगा ओनली 3। ऑलराइट, सो दीज आर द ज्योग्राफी क्वेश्चन। ऑलराइट, इन एनवायरनमेंट सेक्शन वी हैव 15 क्वेश्चंस. Let's see what kind of questions are framed here, we'll discuss them, but the way UPSC is creating some kind of difficult questions, framing those difficult questions, and I'm very sure that you are also facing lot of challenges, and that's why I have been telling students that you should be referring to the current affairs of environment for last 2 years. ठीक है, पिछले साल का ईयरली कंपाइलेशन पढ़िए, इस साल का आप जो पढ़ते आ रहे हैं करंट अफेयर्स उसी को रिवाइज करिए, सो दैट यू कवर मैक्सिमम स्पेसिस इन न्यूज़, मैक्सिमम इंटरनेशनल डेवलपमेंट इन क्लाइमेट चेंज एंड वी कैन से एनवायरमेंट प्रोटेक्शन। टर्म्स बहुत सारे न्यूज़ में होता है तो वो टर्म्स भी मैक्सिमम कवर हो जाएंगे, क्योंकि स्टैटिक पोर्शन से बहुत कम क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं, ठीक है। पोल्यूशन, पोल्यूटेंट्स भी एक सोर्स से, एक बुक से आपको मिलेगा नहीं सब कुछ, तो करंट अफेयर्स से बहुत सारी चीज़ें दिखेगी, तो ट्राई टू रिलेट इट, रिवाइज इट अगेन एंड अगेन, उसी से कुछ क्वेश्चन सॉल्व हो गए। बट अगर क्वेश्चन बहुत ही टफ है तो आपने उसको स्किप कर देना चाहिए। ऑल राइट, now the first question here, biobitumen. So I have been telling to our foundation students and PGP students कि कोई भी जो बायो से स्टार्ट हो रहा है, बायो सिग्नेचर, बायो फर्टिलाइजर्स, बायो पेस्टिसाइड्स, तो वो एग्जाम के लिए बहुत ही फेवरेबल टॉपिक है, ठीक है, यूपीएससी का फेवरेट टॉपिक होता है वो। पास्ट में उन्होंने बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन पूछे हैं, बायोचार है, बायोफ्यूल्स है, ठीक है, बहुत सारे ऐसे क्वेश्चन पूछे हुए हैं जिससे हम मतलब एक आइडिया लगा सकते हैं कि क्या ट्रेंड होता है यूपीएससी का टू आस्क क्वेश्चन। नाउ वी आर आस्किंग क्वेश्चन रिलेटेड टू, वी कैन से दैट बायोबिटुमेन हियर। So biobitumen is a bio-based alternative to conventional bitumen used in road construction. This is correct. Bitumen जो traditionally petroleum product से बनाया जाता है, ठीक है, क्रूड ऑयल के रिफाइनिंग से एंड में, तो वही प्रोडक्ट अगर हम बनाते हैं, अगर जो एग्रीकल्चरल रेसिड्यू है या फिर हम बोल सकते हैं कि क्रॉप रेसिड्यू, ये सब वेस्ट मटेरियल, अगर ऑर्गेनिक वेस्ट मटेरियल उसको हम कन्वर्ट करके बनाते हैं बायो बिटुमेन, इट कैन बी रिप्लेसिंग दैट वी कैन से बिटुमेन, and we can say that it is having very good advantages. It is environmentally sustainable, and we can say that reducing the oil imports. Along with that we can say that it is also beneficial. Why? Because agricultural residue burning that happens, तो उसकी वजह से एयर पोल्यूशन जो होता है वो भी प्रॉब्लम ये एड्रेस कर देता है. So this is correct. India has become the first country in the world to commercially produce bio-bitumen for road construction. यहाँ पे हमने ऐड किया हुआ है क्वेश्चन पेपर में, देखिए रोड कंस्ट्रक्शन लिखा है क्योंकि स्पेसिफिक होना चाहिए. बायो बिटुमेन तो बाकी कंट्रीज भी करती होगी, फॉर रोड कंस्ट्रक्शन इंडिया इज द फर्स्ट कंट्री. तो तीनों स्टेटमेंट जो है वो सही है यहाँ पर. सो व्हाट शुड बी द आंसर? डी इज द आंसर. ऑल राइट, देन okay, so concept of ecologically sensitive areas at the international level find closest resemblance in which of the following global frameworks? So yes, ecologically sensitive areas, तो हम वहाँ पर देखते हैं कि ecological sensitive areas में एक तो biodiversity होती है and basically that is more threatened, so we need to protect it. Along with that we need to conserve it through some kind of community participation, or we can say that sustainable practices. तो ऐसा कहाँ पर देखने को मिलता है? Biosphere reserves under UNESCO. So we can say that it is having the closest resemblance as compared to वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज साइट्स का तो आएगा नहीं, ये तो एक फंडिंग फैसिलिटी है, ग्लोबल एनवायरनमेंट फैसिलिटी. रामसर स्पेसिफिकली फॉर वेटलैंड्स है, तो ये थोड़ा सा लिमिटेड हो जाता है. ए इज द क्लोजेस्ट वन, वी कैन से ए इज द करेक्ट आंसर. देन कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट रिगार्डिंग मिक्स्ड वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज साइट्स. मिक्स्ड वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज साइट, वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज साइट्स आर मेंटेन्ड बाय यूनेस्को. ठीक है, ये जो लिस्ट है वो यूनेस्को डिक्लेयर करता है. एंड देयर आर 3 टाइप्स ऑफ, वी कैन से दैट UNESCO World Heritage Site. Cultural, we can say that natural, ठीक है, and third is mixed. So if we talk about India at present, we have 44 such UNESCO World Heritage Site. Out of them 36 are cultural, 7 are we can say natural, and 1 is mixed. This one is basically Kanchenjunga, India's only mixed World Heritage Site, cultural plus natural, we can say mixed, and they satisfy both cultural and natural criteria. We can say mixed वाले जो है, तो we can say both is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. All right. Then National Environment Standard Laboratory, तो ये recently established किया गया है, especially to monitor and measure the pollutants. We can say environmental monitoring instruments under Indian climatic and pollution conditions. So this is we can say correct. It was established at CSIR NEERI, which is based in Nagpur. So this is incorrect statement. It is set up at CSIR National Physical Laboratory, we can say that NPL, जो दिल्ली में based है, न्यू दिल्ली में. ठीक है, तो incorrect statement है. NECL provides reference gases, calibration protocols and uncertainty evaluation services to support credible environmental data. So this is correct, we can say 1 and 3 only. C is the correct answer here. All right, this is also good question, correctly matched. Natural World Heritage Sites and key features. So Kaziranga, yes, Kaziranga is basically the flood plains, ठीक है, flood plains of Brahmaputra. Okay, which is having grasslands, जहाँ पे 1 horn rhinos हो गए, 1 horn rhinos forest में हो गए क्या, ठीक है, वो ग्रास पे फीड करेंगे ना, तो इसलिए हमें थोड़ा सा लॉजिक भी यूज करने आना चाहिए. सो रिवराइन फॉरेस्ट ये वाला नहीं होगा, रादर मानस में हम देखते हैं कि रिवराइन फॉरेस्ट वाला है. दोनों ये इनकरेक्टली मैच्ड है. सुंदरबंस, वी नो दैट देयर इज लार्जेस्ट मैनग्रोव फॉरेस्ट इन द वर्ल्ड, सो वी कैन से ये थर्ड होना चाहिए यहाँ पे नंबर जो है. ऑलराइट, तो करेक्टली मैच क्या है? ओनली 1, ए इज द करेक्ट आंसर. Only 1, A is the correct answer. All right. Next is, yes, the concept of environment impact assessment (EIA) in India draws its legal enforceability primarily from legal enforceability. We know that Environment Protection Act 1986 it provides for EIA. We can say that carrying out EIA. तो वहाँ से हम बोल सकते हैं इसकी legal enforceability, and that's why we have at present the latest one, EIA framework of 2006. Okay, so B is the correct answer, Environment Protection Act. All right. आर्टिकल 21 भी आप बोल सकते हैं, बट 21 से वो फिलोसॉफिकल बेसिस मिलता है उसको कि राइट टू हैव क्लीन एनवायरनमेंट. ठीक है, तो आप कंफ्यूज हो सकता है बट ऐसा कंफ्यूज नहीं होना, लीगल एनफोर्सेबिलिटी बोल रहा है वो। ऑल राइट, नेक्स्ट इज yes the likely criteria to declare biodiversity heritage site. So biodiversity heritage sites under Biodiversity Act 2002 can be declared by the state biodiversity board, ठीक है। तो वो क्या होता है और किस बेसिस पे होता है? Yes, presence of wild relatives of cultivated species, yes, one of the criteria. Sacred groves with the traditional protection, like that is also true. Unique geological formation linked to biodiversity, yes, biodiversity heritage. High tourism potential. Now you may get confused here कि आपको लग सकता है कि tourism के लिए भी हम heritage site declare कर सकते हैं, but that is not true. The whole purpose here is to conserve the biodiversity, not to promote the economic aspect like tourism. So we can say 1, 2 and 4 C is the correct answer. मुझे पता है यहाँ पे D मार्क किया होगा बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स ने, बट वो सही नहीं है। All right. Following Ramsar site are associated with major bird migration routes. Right. So yes, ये सही आ गया होगा, और नहीं भी सही आया होगा तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि most of the wetlands are basically the breeding grounds, breeding sites for migratory birds. Major जो है पहले हम बोल सकते हैं हरी के वेटलैंड जो है मैन मेड वेटलैंड इन पंजाब, तो वहाँ पर भी हम बोलेंगे कि माइग्रेटरी बर्ड्स होता है। चिलिका लेक में भी होता है उड़ीसा में, केवलादेव घाना जो है राजस्थान में वहाँ पे भी होता है। दिस वाज आस्क्ड इन प्रीलिम्स, कबरतल और कन्वर लेक इन बिहार, yes, all of them are, we can say that, path of migratory birds. So D is the correct answer. All right. Regarding the battery waste management rules 2022, so हमेशा वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट रूल्स जो है, ई वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट, सॉलिड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट, प्लास्टिक वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट, इनसे क्वेश्चन जरूर एक होता है। और वी कैन से एनवायरमेंट लॉ जिसको हम बोलते हैं, एनवायरमेंटल लॉ, वहाँ से 1-2 क्वेश्चन जरूर होता है, तो वी आर ऑल्सो एडिंग दैट, ठीक है। द रूल्स इंट्रोड्यूस एक्सटेंडेड प्रोड्यूसर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी। तो एक्सटेंडेड प्रोड्यूसर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इज द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ द प्रोड्यूसर टू नॉट ओनली प्रोड्यूस एंड सेल, बट ऑल्सो जो पुराने प्रोडक्ट्स हैं उनको मार्केट से रिसीव करके उनको रिसाइकल करना, ठीक है, तो वो भी उनकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बन जाती है। फॉर एग्जांपल अर्लियर वन वी हैड ई वेस्ट, ठीक है, जो ई वेस्ट होता है उसके लिए EPR है, एनवायरमेंट प्रोड्यूस, और उसके बाद प्लास्टिक को भी दिया गया है, और नाउ वी कैन से बैटरी वेस्ट को भी दिया हुआ है। सो दिस इज करेक्ट। दीज रूल्स मैंडेट द यूज ऑफ मिनिमम परसेंटेज ऑफ डोमेस्टिकली रिसाइकल मटेरियल इन द न्यू बैटरीज फ्रॉम 2027-28 ऑनवर्ड्स। यस, दैट इज ट्रू कि एक कंपल्सन उन्होंने ऐड करना शुरू कर दिया है। जब यहाँ जब हम स्टार्ट करेंगे इट इज 5% एंड देन देयर ऑनवर्ड्स इट विल गो ऑन इंक्रीजिंग, ठीक है। तो दोनों स्टेटमेंट सही है यहाँ पर, सी इज द करेक्ट आंसर। ऑल राइट, नेक्स्ट इज बायोडाइवर्सिटी हॉटस्पॉट। Biodiversity hotspots, if you talk about India, there are 36 biodiversity hotspots, in the world there are total 36 biodiversity hotspots, but if you talk about India, there are 4 biodiversity hotspots. The concept was given by Norman IAS, ठीक है, और उन्होंने 2 क्राइटेरियाज दिए थे। वो 2 क्राइटेरियाज कौन से आपको पता होना चाहिए, उनमें से एक क्राइटेरिया है कि हाई स्पेसीज एंडेमिज्म। एंडेमिज्म में उन्होंने बोला है कि more than 15 or we can say at least 1500 vascular plants should be endemic to that region, and second is we can say at least 70% of the area is threatened because of human activities, ठीक है। तो ऑफ कोर्स बायोडाइवर्सिटी हॉटस्पॉट है तो हम बोलेंगे कि स्पेसीज रिचनेस ज़्यादा है, बायोडाइवर्सिटी ज़्यादा है वहाँ पे। बायोडाइवर्सिटी हॉटस्पॉट कंटेन ओनली एंडेमिक स्पेसीज। अब ओनली बोला गया है ना, ओनली थोड़ी है एंडेमिक स्पेसीज, जरूरी नहीं है, तो हम बोलेंगे कि सेकंड स्टेटमेंट इनकरेक्ट है, तो डायरेक्ट आंसर मिल गया है यहाँ पे, सी इज द आंसर। ऑल राइट, then which of the following are the consequences of groundwater over extraction? Very simple, of course there will be decline in the groundwater table. लैंड सब्सिडेंस भी हो रहा है, जैसे कि महाराष्ट्र में पालघर में हमने देखा है कि लैंड सब्सिडेंस हो रहा है, and many areas of we can say Delhi and surrounding regions may experience in future such kind of, let's say, subsidence. Why? Because of there is more than 100% extraction in these areas, तो जिससे रिचार्ज जितना हो रहा है उससे ज़्यादा एक्सट्रैक्शन हो रहा है। इंक्रीज रिवर फ्लो, रादर रिवर फ्लो जो है वो कम हो जाएगा, बढ़ेगा नहीं, क्योंकि ग्राउंड वाटर जो है रिवर फ्लो से कनेक्टेड होता है, एंड द ग्राउंड वाटर कम हो जाएगा तो रिवर फ्लो में भी पानी कम हो जाएगा अल्टीमेटली। Salinization, yes, this will, we can say that, increase. Why? Because over extraction will result into more and more evaporation, and that will bring all this, let's say, salts जो हम बोलेंगे कि ग्राउंड वाटर में जो पहले अभी हम बोलेंगे कि डिजॉल्व है, तो ऊपर आएगा वो पानी, तो हम क्या उससे क्या होगा, पानी तो इवापोरेट हो जाएगा, बट उसके बाद में वो सॉल्ट सॉइल में ही रह जाएंगे, इसलिए वो सैलिनाइजेशन हो रहा है. तो 1, 2 and 4 हम बोलेंगे सी इज द करेक्ट आंसर. देन नेक्स्ट, यस विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज ग्रीन हाउस गैस. ठीक है, बहुत ही इजी क्वेश्चन है. अगर ये आपका गलत जा रहा है तो बहुत मेजर हम बोलेंगे कि प्रॉब्लम है प्रिपरेशन में. मीथेन जो है इसमें हम बोलेंगे कि इट इज अ ग्रीन हाउस गैस. अलॉन्ग विद दैट वी नो दैट कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इज देयर, नाइट्रस ऑक्साइड इज देयर, एंड मेनी ऑफ द वी कैन से gases like sulfur hexafluoride and all those, they are also we can say greenhouse gases, including water, H2O. Then water vapor. Which of the following is a point source of pollutant? Point source of pollutant and non-point. तो point source of pollutant मतलब क्या है कि एक ही पॉइंट से वहां से स्टार्ट में ही जो है pollutant बाहर गिर रहा है, तो उसको हम point source of pollutant बोल रहे हैं. नॉन पॉइंट मतलब क्या होता है कि जहां पर हम अप्लाई कर रहे हैं उसके बाद में वो इधर उधर किधर भी जा रहा है और उसके बाद में जो है वो पर्टिकुलर इकोसिस्टम में एंटर कर रहा है. जैसे कि हम बोलेंगे कि फर्टिलाइजर रन ऑफ फ्रॉम द फील्ड्स, इट इज अ नॉन पॉइंट. और ऑयल फ्रॉम द रोड रन ऑफ, रोड पे कैसे आया हमें पता ही नहीं है. ठीक है, तो ये क्या हो गया, नॉन पॉइंट. सिल्ट फ्रॉम द एग्रीकल्चर लैंड, अगेन वी कैन से नॉन पॉइंट. बट इंडस्ट्रियल इफ्लुएंस फ्रॉम द फैक्ट्री, अब वो फैक्ट्री से निकल रहा है ना वहां पे फर्स्ट प्लेस से, so we can say that it is a point source and D is the correct answer here. Then moving on, with reference to National Green Tribunal, consider the flow. So National Green Tribunal we can say it is a statutory body established through NGT Act 2010. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे जुडिशियल मेंबर्स भी होते हैं और एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव मेंबर्स भी होते हैं. टू बैलेंस इट, इट इज अ काइंड ऑफ वी कैन से a tribunal created for speedy environmental justice or let's say delivery of justice for those cases. तो इसका एक बाइंडिंग नॉर्म है 6 months के अंदर उसको डिस्पोज करना होता है केसेस को. ठीक है, now the NGT is guided by the principles of natural justice and is not bound by the provisions of civil procedure code. तो अब चेंज हो गया है सिविल प्रोसीजर कोड का नाम. yes this is correct, natural justice से bound है, not by the civil procedure. Then National Green Tribunal has original as well as appellate jurisdiction over matters arising from environmental grievances under environmental laws. This is also true. ठीक है, तो ओरिजिनल जुरिस्डिक्शन मतलब क्या है कि डायरेक्टली वो सुओ मोटो भी हम बोल सकते हैं कि रिकॉग्नाइज कर सकता है कोई एनवायरमेंटल इशू है. और एपेलेट मतलब क्या है कि कोई नीचे का जो बॉडी है उसको वो ऑर्डर्स दे रहा है एनवायरमेंटल क्लियरेंसेस के, तो उसके अगेंस्ट जो अपील होगा तो दैट लाइज विद एनजीटी ऑल्सो. ठीक है, तो दोनों स्टेटमेंट सही है, बट वेदर इट इज एक्सप्लेनिंग स्टेटमेंट 1, no. So independently they are we can say correct, and we can say statement 2 is not explaining the statement 1. B is the correct answer. Now the last question for environment, coastal regulation zone classification. So latest notification of CRZ we know 2019 का है, अपडेट कर करके उन्होंने किया हुआ है. And CRZ is basically the notification or rules are notified under Environment Protection Act 1986. ठीक है, 1986 के नोटिफिकेशन से आते हैं. CRZ 1 covers the ecologically sensitive areas such as mangroves, coral reefs, nesting grounds of the marine life. So CRZ 1 is intertidal zone. ठीक है, तो वो इकोलॉजिकली फ्रेजाइल एरिया होता है. हम बोल सकते हैं कि बहुत सारे स्पीसीज का नेस्टिंग साइड होता है, ब्रीडिंग ग्राउंड होता है, फीडिंग ग्राउंड होता है. ठीक है, तो वहाँ पे हाईएस्ट प्रोटेक्शन है. दिस इज करेक्ट. CRZ 3 डज नॉट अप्लाई टू रूरल कोस्टल एरियाज दैट आर नॉट सब्सटेंशियली बिल्ट. अब देखिए CRZ 2 जो है तो दैट इज स्पेसिफिकली फॉर बिल्ट अप अर्बन एरियाज, and CRZ 3 is for rural areas, जो urban character नहीं है, rural areas, both undeveloped as well as developed. ठीक है, तो ये जो does not apply है, it is incorrect, we can say second statement is incorrect. तो हमें आंसर मिल गया है, C is the correct answer. All right, so other topics or other subjects will be covered by other esteemed faculties of Lukmaan IAS. Until that point, you keep on solving these questions. Download the question paper from this description of this video and see the answers also. And you can register for Panchasutra test, which are going to start from next month onwards. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the discussion of current affairs section of the AIPMT, which was held recently. So the questions which were asked from where? From 61 to 70 and the last 5 questions of the paper. So quickly we'll see the questions which were asked from the current affairs section. So the first question is match the following pair. So air defense is Anant Shastra. Okay, so the name of that air defense system, the ballistic missile defense system that India is preparing is, it's a like of Iron Dome or something like that, which is created. Just like Israel has this thing, India is creating its own air defense system, that is Anant Shastra. Surface to air missile is Akash NG, okay, new generation. So surface to air missile. Air to air missile is Astra missile. Okay. Anti-tank is Nag, and surveillance radar is border surveillance system. So A2, B1, C3, D4. A2, B1, C3, D4. A is the answer for question number 61. Sarkir Malkoha was recently in news because it was first recorded in Uttarkashi, Uttarakhand. So this is technically a negative thing. These shrubs are grown in subtropical regions in lower plains in Uttar Pradesh. But once they are getting found out in Uttarkashi in higher altitude, that shows that it is the effect of climate change. Because of warming of higher altitude area, these shrubs are also getting visible, getting sighted in those locations. So C is the correct answer for question number 62. Question number 63. Consider the following statements regarding Spina bifida. So spina bifida is caused by incomplete closure of the neural tubes during early pregnancy. This is correct. And adequate intake of folic acid before conception can significantly reduce the risk of spina bifida. This is correct. And that is why pregnant ladies are actually advised to take folic as supplement. So both statements are correct, but there is no linkages. First statement is talking about why this happens, spina bifida. Second is talking about the remedy to it, but there is no linkage directly. So B is the correct answer for question number 63. 64. Pemba effect is basically hot water can sometimes freeze faster than colder water under certain conditions. So this has been seen that at certain particular pressure, hotter water freezes at a faster rate. Hotter water does not mean that you need to boil it. Basically, it shows that there is an anomalous expansion for water. So it happens that when they are hotter at 4 degrees Celsius, they tend to freeze at a faster rate. This is the idea. C is the correct answer for question number 64. So this is talking about the National Improvised Explosive Device Data Management System. So it is a centralized database for IED related incidents in India. Obviously, these are the IED blasts, which are a common way to create terrorist activities. So it is maintained by the National Security Guard, NSGs, not NIA. So this is by NSG. Second is incorrect. It uses data analytics for identifying the pattern in explosive related crime. This is correct. First and third are correct. A is the correct answer for question number 65. Question number 66. Dak ghar niryat ke. Niryat itself is export. So it could have been used a common sense. It is related to export opportunities. 66. B is the correct answer. 67. With reference to ISO IEC 42001, consider the following statements. So it is the first international standard focused on AI management system. This is certification of AI related organizations, AI systems. So this is correct. It directly certifies AI organizations. PDCA related plan, do, act. PDCA check, plan, do, check, act. These are things to certify, okay, these are in sync with the global standards that specifically applies to specific organizations working in the field of artificial intelligence rather than specific algorithms related to artificial intelligence. They are not certifying any particular LLM and all these things. They are particularly certifying, say, OpenAI. If they have created ChatGPT, they will be certifying that, okay, OpenAI has certain things or certain practices which certifies to be granted ISO certificate 42001. Okay, but they are not certifying whether LLM ChatGPT is in sync with that particular thing or not. Okay, that is the idea. Second is incorrect. It emphasizes ethical and responsible use of artificial intelligence. This is also correct. 1 and 3 are correct. A is the correct answer for question number 67. Question number 68. With reference to Menkes disease, consider the following statements. So it is a rare genetic disorder caused by impaired copper absorption due to mutation in the 87 zinc. This is correct. So Zycubo has recently been approved by the US FDA as the first treatment for Menkes disease. This is also correct. Menkes disease typically follows an autosomal dominant pattern. No, they follow a recessive pattern. That means that the recessive part of the gene is creating those defects. So obviously it is technically not threatening, because if the mating happens with correct particular thing, then it may get superseded by the dominant gene. However, if a particular genetic defects are seen, then this particular drug has been approved by US FDA. It is related to copper absorption, inefficiency in copper absorption. This is incorrect. It is related to recessive part. So first and second are only correct. Out of 3 statements, 2 are correct. B is the correct answer for question number 68. Question 69, Drosophila melanogaster research on aging. So the recent study shows that the age-related decline in tissue regenerate capacity is triggered mainly by the deterioration of stem cells. No, this is basically deterioration of support cells, not the stem cells. Basically the support cells, they deteriorate, stem cells keep on regenerating. Okay, the support system which actually leads to tissue support, how the strength is maintained, they degenerate, and that leads to aging rather than the stem cells themselves. This is incorrect. So this particular is a useful model organism for aging related, because core biological pathways like autophagy and niche signaling are conserved across species. Basically they are reflective. This particular species is it's a particular, I guess, arthropoda, but insect species. So particular these genes are the specific genes that they carry are reflective of broader range of species, and that is why they are a classic particular species under examination when we talk about aging. Second statement is only correct. 69, B is the correct answer. Question number 70, Henley's passport index. So index is based on the number of visa free travels destination. This is correct. India passport rank among the top 20? No, it is 80th rank. India's passport is not very strong. Singapore held the first rank in the 2026 index. This is correct, and they have been holding this rank for many more years. So for the past many years, 1 and 3 are correct. C is the correct answer for question number 70. So India Energy Week obviously is related to energy and sustainability. 96, B is the correct answer for question number 96. Question number 97, Global Risk Perception Survey. So the survey identifies geo-economic confrontation as the top global risk in the short-term outlook for 26-28. This is correct. Socio-political polarization does not feature. Do you really think it features as one of the risks? Socio-political polarization, any religious persecution, any attack on minorities, any xenophobic attacks, these are part of the risks report. So these are man-made, truly man-made. This is incorrect. Cyber insecurity is highlighted as key risk. Obviously, this should be the part. 1 and 3 are correct. B is the correct answer for question number 97. Question number 98. NPS Vatsalya scheme. This is basically a pension scheme for the minor. Okay. So it allows parents or guardians to open a pension account under the national pension system. This is correct. For a child below 18 years of age. This is correct. There is a maximum annual contribution limit. No, there is a minimum limit. Maximum you can do whatsoever suits you. You can do it for say whatsoever money you want to put in for the future of your child. Okay, there is a minimum contribution limit. Upon reaching 18 years, the account must compulsorily be exited. No, there is an option that it can be converted into a normal NPS adult account. It can be left as NPS Vatsalya account, or a lump sum payment can be redeemed. There are 3 options. There is no specific that you are required to redeem the lump sum amount. Okay, so first statement is only correct. However, we are asked how many of them are incorrect. Second and third are incorrect. B is the correct answer for question number 68. So they are asking which is incorrect. So incorrect is second and third. So as per the question, B is the correct answer. Question number 99. Swastik portal. So it aimed at disseminating India's scientifically validated traditional knowledge to a broader audience. This is correct. The portal provides content only in Indian languages. No, also in 5 foreign language. 5 foreign language. So this is incorrect. It has been implemented under the aegis of CSI and National Institute of Science, Communication and Policy Research. This is correct. So first and third are correct. B is the correct answer for question number 99. So this is draft national electricity policy, which is still under discussion stage. So the idea is they want to increase the per capita electricity consumption to 2000 kilowatt hour or 2000 unit by 2030 and 4000 units or 4000 kilowatt hours by 2047. 4000 kilowatt hour by 2047 and interim is 2000 kilowatt hour by 2030. Current is 1450 kilowatt hour. So this is the current consumption. So that is all from the current affairs section. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Let us begin the discussion on the polity section of AIPMT 5 GS paper 1, right? So for polity sections there are 15 questions, question number 11 to 20 and 76 to 80. Let us see them one by one. Question 11. Consider the following statements regarding the constitutional provisions related to the membership of the Rajya Sabha. A person shall not be qualified for election as a member of the Rajya Sabha unless he or she is a citizen of India and has attained the age of 35 years. This statement is incorrect. The age requirement for Rajya Sabha membership is 30 years. A person holding an office of profit under the government of India or the government of any state is liable to be disqualified. This statement is correct. A person declared to be of unsound mind by a competent court is disqualified. So statement 2 and 3 are correct. How many of the above statements are incorrect is the command of the question. Only one statement is incorrect. Option A is the right answer. Next. The Constitution 44th Amendment Act 1978 introduced important safeguards relating to the emergency provisions of the Constitution of India. In this context, consider the following statements. The expression internal disturbance as a ground for proclaiming national emergency was substituted with armed rebellion. This statement is factually correct. The President can proclaim a national emergency only on the basis of a written recommendation. This statement is also correct. The rights guaranteed under Article 20 and 21 can be suspended during the national emergency. Incorrect. Cannot be suspended. A proclamation of national emergency must be approved by both houses of parliament within 1 month. Correct. Which of the statements given above were introduced as safeguards by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act? So 1, 2 and 4. The right option is option C. Next. Consider the following statements. The office of the Deputy Speaker is essential for ensuring continuity in the proceedings of the Lok Sabha and for maintaining the impartial functioning of the House in the absence of the Speaker. If the Deputy Speaker is appointed as the member of any parliamentary committee, he or she automatically becomes the chairperson of that committee. So both these statements are correct, but we have to see whether the second statement is the correct explanation of first. No. Even though both the statements are correct, the second statement does not explain the essential nature of the first statement. Rather, it talks about one other aspect of statement 1, right? So, to be impartial, to maintain the continuity of the office, right, continuity of the proceedings in the absence of the Speaker. Rather, Deputy Speaker also becomes the chairperson of the committee if he or she is a member of the committee. So that is another aspect of the office of the Deputy Speaker, not the cause for ensuring continuity, right? So second statement is not the correct explanation of first. Right option is option B, correct? Next. Consider the following statements regarding Article 142 of the Constitution of India. It empowers the Supreme Court to pass any decree or order necessary to do complete justice in a case. It has been invoked by the Supreme Court in matters relating to environmental protection and electoral reforms. It functions as a constitutional safety valve to fill gaps in a law. When legislative action is absent, orders passed under Article 142 are binding and enforceable, but they cannot override existing legislation. So among all the given statements, statement number 4 is incorrect because any order or a decree passed under the provisions of Article 142 do have overriding power on the existing legislations, right? Now, that is not very absolute. It also depends on the statute and the provisions and to the extent where up till which the court has said that it will override the given statutes or law, right? So, in those senses that it cannot override any legislation, saying that is not absolutely correct. It may not override subject to the orders passed by the court, Supreme Court, right? So, statement 4 is incorrect. How many of the above statements are correct? Only 3. Right option is option C. Next. Consider the following statements regarding the constitutional provisions of the National Commission for the Backward Classes under the Constitution of India. The chairperson and members of the NCBC are appointed by the President by warrant under his hand and seal. That is correct. Article 338B. Perhaps if I can recall correctly, the provision number is 338B subsection 3 says that the members and the chairperson of the NCBC will be appointed by the President by warrant under his hand and seal. The conditions of service and tenure of the office of the chairperson and other members of the commission are determined by Parliament by law. That is incorrect. That is also determined by President by rule. Now, this is also specifically given and mentioned under Article 338B, Provision 2. The union and every state government are required to consult the Commission on all major matters affecting the socially and educationally backward classes. Now, the Constitution provides for such provisions in Article 338B, subclause 9, that the state governments are required to consult. Now, that consultation, when it talks about major policy actions, then they do consult, right? So, which of the statements given above are correct? 1 and 3 are correct. The right answer is option B. Next. Consider the following statements. The Contingency Fund of India has been established by an act of the Parliament. The Contingency Fund of India is held by the Cabinet Secretary on behalf of the President. That is incorrect. It is held by the Secretary to the Government of India, Ministry of Finance, Department of Economic Affairs, right? Very factual information. The advances from the Contingency Fund of India are recouped from the Consolidated Fund of India with the approval of the Parliament. Recouped, perhaps, reappropriated, recouped, taken back, so, or extracted. So, all these words do mean the similar things in context of this particular advances or money is taken out from the Contingency Fund of India, right? So, third statement is also correct. Which of the above given statements are correct? 1 and 3, both are correct. Right answer is option D. Which of the following statements is incorrect in the context of the parliamentary committees? They assist the parliament in discharge of its duties. They work under the direction of the speaker and chairman or chairman. The standing committees are permanent in nature and work continuously. The parliamentary committees present their report to the President of India. Right. So option D is incorrect. They submit the report to the House or to the Speaker or Chairman and not to the President. Next. Consider the following statements regarding the preamble to the Constitution of India. The preamble serves as the foundational source of authority of the Constitution and guides the functioning of the legislature. Source of authority within constitutional limits. It provides a philosophical background, right? It provides the basic ideas, philosophies, the core constitutional morals. So those are provided within the preamble and not the source of authority. It means that any statute, any provisions of the Constitution of India or any other law will not be, cannot be questioned just because it is in conflict with the provisions of the preamble itself, right? So preamble is something that is not enforceable by the court of law. The preamble was not originally adopted by the Constituent Assembly during the framing of the Constitution. That is correct. The preamble was not that is, preamble was not something that was adopted during the Constituent Assembly debates when the provisions of the Constitution itself were being discussed. Rather, it was adopted after the discussions on the provisions of the Constitution were done and were accepted by all the members by majority, right? So, preamble was the last thing to be adopted by the Constituent Assembly. That is, that Constituent Assembly formally approved the inclusion of the preamble as an integral part of the Constitution through a motion. When all the debates, discussions on for all the provisions of the Constitution were done, after that the preamble was incorporated in the Constitution of India. So there is a difference between statement 2 and 3. Statement 3 is correct, right? So which of the statements given above are correct? So only the third statement is correct. The right answer is option D. Next. Consider the following statements about the Indian Councils Act 1909. It allowed the provincial legislative councils to have a non-official majority. It introduced diarchy in the provincial governments. It introduced a system of communal representation for Muslims. Incorrect. Right, so the provisions, diarchy in the provisional governments were given by Government Councils Act 1919, right, not by 1909. Right, Government of India Act 1919. But statement 1 and 2 are factually correct. That is Minto-Morley reforms for communal representation and expansion of the legislative councils in the central as well as provincial legislative councils, right. So provincial legislative councils were also allowed to have a non-official majority. Both the statements 1 and 3 are correct. We have to find incorrect statement. Only 2. Right answer is option A. Consider the following statements regarding the right against exploitation under the Constitution of India. It prohibits human trafficking and forced labor. It prohibits employment of children in hazardous industries. The right is enforceable only against private individuals and not the state. This statement is incorrect because the right against exploitation is enforceable against both the individuals as well as the state. That is Article 23, right? How many of the above given statements are correct? 1 and 2, the right answer is option B, correct? Next. The Global Gender Gap Report, published annually by the World Economic Forum, assesses gender-based disparities across countries using specific dimensions. In this context, consider the following indicators: economic participation and opportunity, political empowerment, educational attainment, cultural representation. Now, understand that any of the indicator or any of the index which talks about the outcomes or the possibilities or real scenarios in context, then those are the outcome based reports or indicators. Cultural representation is something which is not the outcome, which is the input. If there is a better cultural representation, then perhaps the economic participation, political empowerment and educational attainment can be improved, right? So what are the indicators included in the gender gap index? Not the cultural representation, but economic participation, educational attainment, political empowerment and health and survival, right? So the fourth dimension is health, not the cultural representation. That health is also something that is outcome of better policies, better initiatives in the society, right? So question 76, the right answer is 1, 2 and 3 only, option B. Next, which with reference to the procedure for investigation into the misbehavior or incapacity of a judge of the Supreme Court or a High Court, consider the following statements. Once the motion for removal of a judge is admitted in either House of Parliament, the presiding officer is mandatorily required to constitute an inquiry committee. Is submitted or admitted, then only after the presiding officer has a discretion whether to constitute a formal committee of inquiry or not. So it is based on discretion and not mandatory. The inquiry committee constituted for investigating the charges against a judge consists exclusively members drawn from the higher judiciary. This statement is also incorrect because the provisions for constituting an inquiry committee also contains one provision to have an eminent jurist in the committee, which may or may not be a member of the higher judiciary. Correct? So this essentially negates the absolute statements like all the members are exclusively drawn from the higher judiciary. So this statement is also incorrect. If a judge refuses to undergo a medical examination ordered by the medical board, the inquiry committee may presume the existence of alleged incapacity. So third statement is correct. It gives such kind of powers to the inquiry committee. So only the third statement is correct. Right answer is option B. Next. With reference to the Responsible Nations Index, RNI 2026, consider the following statements. The RNI assesses countries based on how responsibly they use their influence for global common goods. such as climate action, peace, and health. The index was prepared by the United Nations Development Programme in collaboration with multiple global partners. India ranks within the top 10 countries in the RNI 2026. So, third statement is incorrect because India's rank was 16 among all the nations. Second statement is correct because it was not prepared by United Nations Development Programme, though it essentially uses the data and facts provided, research data provided by the United Nations Development Programme. The report, the index was prepared by World Intellectual Foundation. Right? So, second statement is incorrect, third statement is incorrect. The right answer is how many of the statements given above are correct? A, only one. Next. With reference to the SHINE scheme, consider the following statements. It seeks to empower women by enhancing their awareness of standards, quality, safety, and consumer protection at the grassroots level. Correct. The scheme is being implemented directly through government-run schools and Anganwadi centers to reach every household. Now, second statement is incorrect because it is not run by the schools or government-run schools or Anganwadi centers. Rather, it makes use of self-help groups and NGOs and such kind of awareness generation organizations which might create more awareness among the women at the grassroots level. So, how many statements, which of these statements are correct? One only, A. With reference to the interoperable criminal justice system ICJAS 2.0, consider the following statements. It is an initiative of the Ministry of Home Affairs to digitally integrate all pillars of criminal justice, including police, courts, prosecution, prisons, and forensic laboratories. It follows the principle of one nation, one data, one entry to reduce duplication and manual errors. Its implementation enables real-time digital tracking of cases from FIR to conviction. The National Crime Records Bureau (NCRB) releases periodic rankings to assess states on implementation of ICJS. So yes, all the basic factual informations about the ICJS scheme or the ICJS initiative are given correct in these four statements. Rather, you should also know that the recent rankings were given in January 2026 and the best score was scored by Uttarakhand state in January 2026, right? So that is a current affairs based question and all the factual basic informations about the scheme ICJS scheme are given correct. So which of the statements given above Asia are correct? 1, 2, 3 and 4. Option D is the right answer, right? Next. Right, so this is all from polity section, right? So what we see is the balance between the current affairs based questions and polity section as well as conceptual questions. Few of the factual questions like the Councils Act 1909 wali cheezein. So it was a complete clear balance between the most asked aspects in the actual examination. So I believe the question paper was helpful for you to revise much of the portion of the syllabus, and just in case you have made mistakes, make sure that you revise them properly and stick to the things that you already know. Be very confident about the things that you know, and the things that you are doubtful of, try to recall them, practice them and improve over them. Find out your own strengths and weaknesses, build your strengths and improve on your weaknesses. That is the only way that you can score better in the actual examination, right? So see you next time. Till then, revise well, read well, sleep well, eat well, make best use of the available time and energy to you. Thank you. Good luck.
Hello and welcome to the discussion of AIPMT science section. So quickly we'll see the questions. It was all through 10 questions which were straight away asked in the question paper. So the question number was 51 to 60. We'll see the first question. It says that ZFN and talon are techniques related to which of the following? That is zinc finger nucleate or nuclease. This is related to genome or gene editing. So CRISPR-Cas9 is the most usable technique. Earlier techniques were ZFN and talon. These were the precursor to the currently used CRISPR-Cas9, that is related to gene or genome editing. 51 B is the correct answer. 52, with reference to Alzheimer's, consider the following statement. Alzheimer is a disease, obviously. It is the most common type of dementia. This is correct. Dementia where the memory networks or memory neural fibers are eroded and people starts forgetting. Forgetting is nothing but your loss of temporary storage of information. And why we store, how do we store information? In certain blocks, nodes, and how these are connected? Through certain neural fibers that gets eroded with time. That is a kind of dementia only. Dementia is a broader group of disease which is related to forgetting. It involves the formation of plaques and tangles in the brain. This is correct. There is no cure available for this disease. This is also correct. All the three statements are correct. Alzheimer's, basically it hits person who are above 60-65 and presently there is no cure related to that, and that is why it is a serious case. Okay, question number 53 with reference to helium gas. So this was a pure science question. Obviously if you are well aware about the concepts of chemistry, you could have attempted it quite easily. Consider the following statements. It is the second lightest element after hydrogen. This is correct. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium. This is the sequence. So obviously after hydrogen, the second lightest element is helium. Its high boiling point makes it an ideal fuel for rockets. Is it so? Helium is an inert gas. It's an inert gas, and that is why it has very low boiling point, and that can be used for tire pressure and all these things. These are cooler gases and that cannot be used for inflammation like it is done in case of hydrogen fuel in rockets. Helium is chemically inert due to its complete outer electron shell. This is correct. Hydrogen, helium, so 1s2, if you are knowing about the SPDF shell and subshell components. So it is S2, second shell, first S is subshell is completed. So it has 2 electrons, both opposite spins, and they are completing the outer electron. This is correct. KLMN is the condition. So this is the idea that it is completed, and that is why it is inert, it is non-reactive. 1 and 3 is correct. A is the correct answer. 53, A is the correct answer. Pure science question. Metformin. So this drug is widely used for treating diabetes. Diabetes, not cancer. Okay. So diabetes is a global non-communicable disease which is becoming a burden, and metformin is the first line of treatment which is given to people who are chronic diabetic. Okay. It can slow biological aging of many tissues from organs such as lungs, kidney and livers. This is correct, and that is why it is said that it can be drug for future. It can increase the lifespan for humans. Metformin can be used for that. This is the research which has come. So first statement is incorrect, second is correct. B is the correct answer for question number 54. Coming to question number 55. Quantum Natural Language Processing, QNLP. So it uses principles of quantum mechanics such as superposition and entanglement to represent linguistic meaning. This is correct. So these are quite two characteristics of quantum computing, that is superposition, how the quantum qubits are superpositioned together, and entanglement, if change in quantum spin number or quantum number of one would get automatically reflected in terms of change in other quantum bits. This is entanglement. They are entangled with each other. If you change one, it can be automatically reflected in second. That is used in natural processing based on quantum natural processing. Okay, so QNLP uses this technique. UNLP aims to model the compositional structure of language using vector space representation. This is correct. Just like if you are knowing about the 3D algebra vector program, how anything is represented in I cap, J cap, K cap, representation layer by layer. 3D, if you are knowing about science and tech, you will be knowing how this thing is done in algebra, summation in terms of vector algebra. In the same manner, the language words are specifically stored in specific nodes, and from there a particular meaningful sentences are created by layer on layer, picking these things from node through parallel processing, and this is using the vector space or vector mathematics. But these are inspired by quantum theory. So that language is not I cap, J cap, that is language of quantum mechanics. QNLP can offer computational advantage for certain language tasks when implemented on a quantum hardware. This is correct. All the three statements are correct. D is the correct answer for question number 55. Coming to question number 56, consider the following statements. Starlink's satellite constellation has raised concern among astronomers due to increased radio frequency interference affecting astronomical observation. This is correct. So that is what is known as unintended electromagnetic radiation. Unintended electromagnetic. So they operate at certain frequency which may resonate, which may interfere constructively or destructively, and which may alter the scientific calculations by way of telescopes which we have presented, which we have actually put them in the orbits to read sun, to read celestial body, and many other, say, cosmic background radiation, CMBR, which are done. So it may alter, it may interfere with those astronomical observations. This is one of the idea. So second statement explains that the second generation satellite can emit higher levels of unintended electromagnetic radiation, potentially worsening interference compared to earlier satellites, and that is why they are concerned. The astronomers are concerned that our study about these cosmic events may get altered, may get interfered with these constellations of satellite through the Starlink. Okay, so both the statements are correct. A is the correct. Second statement is explaining first, so A is the correct answer for question number 56. Coming to question number 57, Ozempic, obviously a new drug, weight loss drug which was in news. So Ozempic contains semaglutide, this is correct, and is used in treating type 2 diabetes. What happens that they slow down hunger. Semaglutide attacks type 2 diabetic. They slow down hunger, and that is why you eat less, and because you are eating less, you are taking less calorie, and that may potentially lead to weight loss. It helps control blood sugar by increasing insulin release and lowering glucagon levels when blood sugar is high. This is correct, first is incorrect. Ozempic may also help in weight loss and is sometimes prescribed for weight management under medical supervision. So this was in news when Ozempic has been approved, I guess, in India for commercial usage, but many of the Bollywood personalities, they had rapid weight loss. It was all because of Ozempic injections. Okay, 2 and 3 are correct. B is the correct answer for question number 57. Question number 58. Consider the following statements regarding the Astra missile. So it has been developed by the DRDO. This is correct. It is air to air guided, not surface to air. It is air to air guided missile. So this is incorrect, obviously. Second is incorrect. So it is specifically mounted on the jet planes or specific fighter planes for any chase and all these things that we see when fighter planes attacking on other, then Astra missiles can be used. So Astra Mark 1 has a range of 80 to 110 kilometers. This is correct. So this is currently in use. There are various versions like Tejas Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3. This is how GSLV Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3. These are certain stages. Higher the Mark levels, basically more thrust or more capacity of the missile, more endurance, more durability, or more distance they can cover. That is the idea. Current Mark 1 has a limitation of 80 to 100 kilometers. This is correct. First and third statement are correct. C is the correct answer for question number 58. Coming to question number 59. So nuclear submarine can generate oxygen and fresh water on board. This is correct. Oxygen obviously through electrolysis, oxygen is generated, through desalination, fresh water is generated, and they are housing a specific small modular reactors. What we say that small modular reactors, it is currently in use in nuclear submarine. So what the government has planned for Bharat small reactor to have decentralized electricity for specific purposes. In these things, modular reactors are specifically available in nuclear submarine SSBN. This is correct. Nuclear submarine do not require frequent surfacing unlike diesel submarine. This is also correct. Sorry. So nuclear submarine has its own fuel, its own reactor, which is inside the submarine. They may be beneath water for 5-6 months, because nuclear fuel recharge happens after say 5-6-7 months, or if there is disposal of nuclear waste that is required, then only they surface up. But in case of diesel submarines, what happens that they need to come up to recharge batteries so as to turn back the turbines and all these things to start the diesel operations. So that is why nuclear submarine has more stealth capability. They cannot be found out by many of these drones which are there to surveillance these submarines as compared to diesel submarines. So second is statement is also is correct. Both the statements are correct. C is the correct answer for question number 59. Coming to question number 60, nano composites. So they are made up of 2 or more materials. This is correct. That is why they are composites. They are at nano scale obviously, and these two combining material are technically different. To use best of both the materials which are used, so that their physical properties can be enhanced. If same materials are used, there is no point. So there could be one carbon nanotubes and some other material which can be fused together to create another third material which would have best properties of both the combining material, but essentially these are two different materials, two different properties. So second is incorrect, first is correct. A is the correct answer for question number 60. So that is all about the questions from the science and tech. Hello and welcome to the discussion of current affairs section of the AIPMT, which was held recently. So the questions which were asked from 61 to 70, and the last 5 questions of the paper. So quickly we will see the questions which were asked from the current affairs section. So the first question is match the following pair. So air defense is Anant Shastra. Okay, so the name of that air defense system, the ballistic missile defense system that India is preparing is, it's a like of Iron Dome or something like that, which is created just like Israel has this thing. India is creating its own air defense system, that is Anant Shastra. Surface to air missile is Akash NG, okay, new generation. So surface to air missile. Air to air missile is Astra missile, okay. Anti-tank is Nag, and surveillance radar is border surveillance system. So A, 2, B, 1, C, 3, D, 4. A, 2, B, 1, C, 3, D, 4. A is the answer for question number 61. Sarkir Malkoha was recently in use because it was first recorded in Uttarkashi, Uttarakhand. So this is technically a negative thing. These shrubs are grown in subtropical region in lower plains in Uttar Pradesh. But once they are getting found out in Uttarkashi in higher altitude, that shows that it is the effect of climate change. Because of warming of higher altitude area, these shrubs are also getting sighted in those locations. So C is the correct answer for question number 62. Question number 63. Consider the following statements regarding Spina bifida. So spina bifida is caused by incomplete closure of the neural tubes during early pregnancy. This is correct. And adequate intake of folic acid before conception can significantly reduce the risk of spina bifida. This is correct. And that is why pregnant ladies are actually advised to take folic as supplement. So both statements are correct, but there is no linkages. First statement is talking about why this happens, spina bifida. Second is talking about the remedy to it, but there is no linkage directly. So B is the correct answer for question number 63. 64. Pemba effect is basically hot water can sometimes freeze faster than colder water under certain conditions. So this has been seen that at certain particular pressure, hotter water freezes at a faster rate. Hotter water does not mean that you need to boil it. Basically it shows that there is an anomalous expansion for water. So it happens that when they are hotter at 4 degrees Celsius, they tend to freeze at a faster rate. This is the idea. C is the correct answer for question number 64. So this is talking about the National Improvised Explosive Device Data Management System. So it is a centralized database for IED related incidents in India. Obviously these are the IED blasts which are a common way to create terrorist activities. So it is maintained by the National Security Guard, NSGs, not NIA. So this is by NSG. Second is incorrect. It uses data analytics for identifying the pattern in explosive related crime. This is correct. First and third are correct. A is the correct answer for question number 65. Question number 66. Dak ghar niryat ke. Niryat itself is export. So it could have been used a common sense. It is related to export opportunities. 66. B is the correct answer. 67. With reference to ISO IEC 42001, consider the following statements. So it is the first international standard focused on AI management system. This is certification of AI related organizations, AI systems. So this is correct. It directly certifies AI organizations. PDCA related plan, do, act. PDCA check, plan, do, check, act. These are things to certify, okay, these are in sync with the global standards. That specifically applies to specific organizations working in the field of artificial intelligence rather than specific algorithms related to artificial intelligence. They are not certifying any particular LLM and all these things. They are particularly certifying, say, OpenAI. If they have created ChatGPT, they will be certifying that, okay, OpenAI has certain things or certain practices which certifies to be granted ISO certificate 42001. Okay, but they are not certifying whether LLM ChatGPT is in sync with that particular thing or not. Okay, that is the idea. Second is incorrect. It emphasizes ethical and responsible use of artificial intelligence. This is also correct. 1 and 3 are correct. A is the correct answer for question number 67. Question number 68. With reference to Menkes disease, consider the following statements. So it is a rare genetic disorder caused by impaired copper absorption due to mutation in the 87 zinc. This is correct. So Zycubo has recently been approved by the US FDA as the first treatment for Menkes disease. This is also correct. Menkes disease typically follows an autosomal dominant pattern. No, they follow a recessive pattern. That means that the recessive part of the gene is creating those defects. So obviously it is technically not threatening, because if the mating happens with correct particular thing, then it may get superseded by the dominant gene. However, if a particular genetic defects are seen, then this particular drug has been approved by US FDA. It is related to copper absorption, inefficiency in copper absorption. This is incorrect. It is related to recessive part. So first and second are only correct. Out of 3 statements, 2 are correct. B is the correct answer for question number 68. Question 69. Drosophila melanogaster research on aging. So the recent study shows that the age-related decline in tissue regenerate capacity is triggered mainly by the deterioration of stem cells. No, this is basically deterioration of support cells, not the stem cells. Basically the support cells, they deteriorate, stem cells keep on regenerating. Okay, the support system which actually leads to tissue support, how the strength is maintained, they degenerate, and that leads to aging rather than the stem cells themselves. This is incorrect. So this particular is a useful model organism for aging related, because core biological pathways like autophagy and niche signaling are conserved across species. Basically they are reflective. This particular species is it's a particular, I guess, arthropoda, but insect species. So particular these genes are the specific genes that they carry are reflective of broader range of species, and that is why they are a classic particular species under examination when we talk about aging. Second statement is only correct. 69. B is the correct answer. Question number 70. Henley's passport index. So index is based on the number of visa-free travels destination. This is correct. India passport rank among the top 20? No, it is 80th rank. India's passport is not very strong. Singapore held the first rank in the 2026 index, this is correct, and they have been holding this rank for many more years. So, for the past many years, 1 and 3 are correct. C is the correct answer for question number 70. So, India Energy Week obviously is related to energy and sustainability. 96, B is the correct answer for question number 96. Question number 97, Global Risk Perception Survey. So, the survey identifies geo-economic confrontation as the top global risk in the short-term outlook for 26-28. This is correct. Socio-political polarization does not feature. Do you really think it features as one of the risks? Socio-political polarization, any religious persecution, any attack on minorities, any xenophobic attacks, these are part of the risks report. So, these are man-made, truly man-made. This is incorrect. Cyber insecurity is highlighted as key risk, obviously. This should be the part. 1 and 3 are correct. B is the correct answer for question number 97. Question number 98. NPS Vatsalya scheme. This is basically a pension scheme for the minor. Okay. So, it allows parents or guardians to open a pension account under the national pension system. This is correct. For a child below 18 years of age, this is correct. There is a maximum annual contribution limit. No, there is a minimum limit. Maximum you can do whatsoever suits you. You can do it for say whatsoever money you want to put in for the future of your child. Okay, there is a minimum contribution limit. Upon reaching 18 years, the account must compulsorily be exited. No, there is an option that it can be converted into a normal NPS adult account. It can be left as NPS Vatsalya account, or a lump sum payment can be redeemed. There are 3 options. There is no specific that you are required to redeem the lump sum amount. Okay. So, first statement is only correct. However, we are asked how many of them are incorrect. Second and third are incorrect. B is the correct answer for question number 68. So, they are asking which is incorrect. So, incorrect is second and third. So, as per the question, B is the correct answer. Question number 99. Swastik portal. So, it aimed at disseminating India's scientifically validated traditional knowledge to a broader audience. This is correct. The portal provides content only in Indian languages. No, also in 5 foreign language. 5 foreign language. So, this is incorrect. It has been implemented under the aegis of CSI and National Institute of Science, Communication and Policy Research. This is correct. So, first and third are correct. B is the correct answer for question number 99. So, this is draft National Electricity Policy, which is still under discussion stage. So, the idea is they want to increase the per capita electricity consumption to 2000 kilowatt hour or 2000 unit by 2030 and 4000 units or 4000 kilowatt hours by 2047. 4000 kilowatt hour by 2047 and interim is 2000 kilowatt hour by 2030. Current is 1450 kilowatt hour. So, this is the current consumption. So, that is all from the current affairs section. Thank you. The questions were a mix of certain changes like base year, how that would change the GDP accounting and inflation and all these things. Then we had certain terminologies which are very important. So, we will see the questions which were asked. So, the first question was effects of CPI base year revision to 2024. So, we know that recently in February the CPI data for the new base year has been announced, and we have seen that the inflation has picked up to 2.7, around about 2.7, which was around about 1.5% last month. So, we can say that inflation adjustment has happened because of base year revision, and also the articles which have been erased, the older articles which we do not consume, and the newer basket contains certain articles which are reflective of the pattern of consumption in current times. So, we are asking about the effects of CPI base year revision. So, that would be better data capture at granular level, that is a correct thing. So, what happens that at specific small node point the data would get captured and that would be reflective of what the consumer is experiencing in real economy and what is the actual data which is getting generated. So there was certain debate that the inflation data which was coming out at 1.5 or below 1% in some of the months, and the actual experience of erosion of purchasing power by normal people, there was a disjoint, and that was all because of older base year and older sets of basket of commodities which were getting accounted in inflation management or inflation targeting. However, the new data with a revised base year would ensure that granular data would be better, then there would be higher reflection of service inflation. That is very good. We have seen that the goods and services, goods inflation has, we can say that it has stabilized because the production capacity has ensured that the demand can be easily supplied, but it is the service inflation like service like household in terms of health, education, housing, that inflation has been higher, and that is why because of base year revision we have seen that the ratio or the weightage of food has gone to 36% from 46%, and the additional weightage has been given to housing, to education and healthcare. The inflation rates has been higher, and that means that would better capture the service inflation. This is correct. Lower inflation in short term, this is not a guarantee because the basket itself changes. So it may so happen that if service inflation is accounted generally it is higher, then it could be higher inflation in short term, which we have seen recently. When the data for the January month was announced, we saw that the inflation in January was higher than December, all because the basket of goods and services which were getting captured got changed. So this is incorrect. An updated consumption basket reflecting the current spending pattern, this is correct. So 1, 2 and 4 are correct. C is the correct answer. This was a new concept. So C is the question for answer for 32. So this is about the technology and innovation report. It is United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD. This is the correct answer. 32, A is the correct answer. Coming to question number 33. So with reference to the Bombay Stock Exchange, BSE, BSE is one of the oldest stock exchanges of the world and oldest in Asia. Okay, so it is the oldest stock exchange in Asia, this is correct. It is the first listed stock exchange in India, this is correct. So BSE has been listed as a share on NSE. So BSE itself is a company also, it has listed its own share on National Stock Exchange in 2017. By doing so, it became the first stock exchange in India to get listed. This is also correct. And Nifty 50 is the benchmark index for BSE. No, it is BSE Sensex. This is incorrect. 1 and 2 are only correct. A is the correct answer for question number 33. With reference to a periodic labor force survey, again this a change has happened that now earlier it used to be on annual data in the principal status and subsidiary status as well as CWS data for monthly data for urban area only. Now we have got to know that from April 2025 last year we are getting monthly data for PLFS periodic labor force survey in the current weekly status. Okay, so it constitutes monthly estimates of key labor market indicators at country level. This is correct. All India data is announced. This is the recent change. Earlier it used to be annual data. 3 sets of data, namely labor force participation rate, this is correct. Worker population ratio, this is also correct. And dependency ratio, no. It is unemployment rate. The third set of data is unemployment rate for urban, rural and all India combined male, female separately. So this is incorrect. The third part is incorrect. So only first statement is correct. A is the correct answer for question number 34. 35th, RBI digital lending directions. Okay. It imposes mandatory reporting of digital lending apps via the RBI centralized information management system. This is correct, and this is also applicable to non-banking financial companies. So this is a factual thing which came in, I guess, April or March, but you are required to have this gauge about the recent directives of RBI as well as SEBI. So 1 and 2, C is the correct answer for question number 35. 36th question. So that is opinion trading platform. Obviously, the name itself suggests that you are betting on certain opinions, certain movements, certain talks about the movement in certain commodities. So, these platforms allow participants to earn money by investing in their predictions. Obviously, that is the opinion on any sports. A particular team would win or lose, like betting kind of a thing, but that is not kind of a betting in real sense. Political, weather update, as well as crypto events. This is correct. If the predictions are correct, a participant makes money, and if it goes wrong, obviously the loss is borne by the participant. This is also correct. They are regulated by Security and Exchange Board of India under the alternate investment funds? No. They are non-regulated. They are informal in sense. Okay, so 1 and 2 are only correct. A is the correct answer for question number 36. Coming to question number 37. So, how many of the above parameters are components under the newly proposed repairability index? So, that is repair information, obviously, spare part availability, obviously, software updates, done, reputation of OEMs, that is not the condition. So, basically they want to promote the right to repair. Idea is whenever we use any electronic gadgets, any specific thing, we can extend their service life by repairing it rather than exchanging it for newer product. Exchanging it for newer product may increase GDP because new products are getting produced, but that can actually be imposing certain negative consequence on the environment, because we need to extend the usability. By only changing certain components which are defective, we can get it repaired and again extend its life usage. And that is the idea behind repairability index, so that a particular company should also bring out their specific spare parts, the knowledge about how to get it repaired, and this is how we can increase its usability. We can also extend their life cycle. That is the idea behind right to repair. 1, 2, 3 are only correct. C is the correct answer for question number 37. Question number 38, Kuznets curve. So, Kuznets curve says that as the economy develops, inequality first increases and then it decreases. So, inverted U-shaped curve happens. So, this is related to inequality and economic development, this happens. So, as an economy develops, what happens that first the top levels, the capitalists, they become rich, and that is why the gap between the rich and poor increases. Then eventually what happens, the lower base starts picking up, they start reducing the gap, and that is what we are seeing in India. The lower wages are now increasing. People in the informal sector are now earning and plugging the gap with the middle class, and this is why economy would still get developed, but the lower base would start increasing and the economic inequality would start shrinking. This was given by Kuznets. So, this is also one of the this curve. There is also relation to environment Kuznets curve also, that shows that as an economy develops, first environmental pollution increases or environmental degradation increases, then eventually it starts reducing because newer technologies are found out. Now again question, catastrophe bond is an innovative way to fund disaster emergencies without transferring the funding burden on burden of state exchequer. This is correct. In case of catastrophe bond, the risk of payment is shifted to the investor if the disaster occurs, and that is why the state exchequer or there is no fiscal burden, rather the investor who is investing in those catastrophic bonds, they are taking the risk by if the catastrophe does not happen. If the disaster does not happen, then they lose out, then they will gain from it. And if the disaster happens, their capital would be used to fund the disaster emergency response, whatsoever funding is required. Both the statements are correct, and B is explaining how the shifting of burden happens to the capital class, to the capitalist, to the investor rather than to the state exchequer. Question number 40. So, insurance works on the principle of risk pooling, this is correct. Now in UPSC we have seen that they are asking questions from pension, insurance, digitization. It is not just core economics, you are required to know about the application part of economics also. So this is correct. Term insurance provides maturity benefits, no, there is nothing. So term insurance means that you are insured for a specific term. If that particular term period expires, and in a positive case that you are healthy, the particular insurer is not dead, the money would not be returned back. The premium amount whatsoever was paid all through the policy term period. But in case of endowment plan, there is a guarantee of payment. So, it does not give any guarantee? No, this is also correct. This is opposite of it. Endowment plan gives you a guarantee that if there is no claim which is made, then at the end of policy period, certain money would be refunded as a part of the payments which are done as part of premium. Okay, that is endowment. So, one statement, first statement is only correct, B is the correct answer for question number 40. Question number 86, now from 31 to 40, the next set of economy questions came in sets 86 to 90. So, sports washing is a specific term. The strategy is used by investments in global sporting events to create a favorable image in order to divert attention from governance or human rights concerns. This is correct. So, particular company, it may be doing certain things which are having negative externalities to the environment or to the society, but what they want to do, they want to create a positive image by funding certain sporting event. So, this was accused for many global oil companies that they are funding FIFA World Cup or funding Indian Premier League in a way to just show that they are promoting sports, but actually they are promoting negative thing because technically oil and gas field is negative to the environment. So, consider the following statements regarding the small finance banks. So, they are required to maintain a minimum paid up equity capital of 200 crore rupees. This is correct. They are required to extend at least 75% of their adjusted net bank credit to the priority sector. This is correct. They are permitted to undertake foreign exchange businesses. This is also correct because these are also scheduled commercial banks. Small finance banks are also scheduled commercial banks. Only the expanse of operation is specific and limited. So, all the three statements are correct. D is the correct answer for question number 87. Coming to question number 88. So, which consider the following statements regarding the Bharat Bill payment system. So, the system is operated by National Payment Corporation of India, not UIDAI. This is incorrect. NPCI is the operator. All recurring bills and all these things are done through Bharat Bill payment system. This is nothing but automated payment clearing system, NASH that e-mandate that is given for recurring payments. BBPS supports both online and offline mode of bill payments through a network of agents and digital channels. This is correct. Offline payments are also allowed. Okay, B is the correct answer for question number 88. 89. So, consider the following statements. Rising global interest rates may lead to capital outflow from emerging market economy. This is correct. Sustained appreciation of domestic currency may worsen the real effective exchange rate. This is also correct. Worsen means that the trade competitiveness would go down. The rupee would become, if you are talking about Indian rupee, if Indian rupee appreciates, they become overvalued. And obviously, it hits the exporters because the trade competitiveness goes down and real basically becomes in overvalue zone. That means they are worsening the trade competitiveness. This is correct. Depreciation of the domestic currency may increase the domestic currency value of external debt, because see, if they are taking $100,000 of ECB, external commercial borrowing, earlier 85 rupees was the exchange rate, that means 85 into $100,000. Now it becomes 90 rupees, then 90 into $100,000, it may actually lower down, it may actually increase the burden, not lowering down the burden. That is why this is incorrect. It will increase the domestic value, not the decrease part. Okay, both the statements 1 and 2 are correct, but third is incorrect. A is the correct answer, 1 and 2 only. And the last question from the economy section was, trade liberalization can enhance long-term economic growth. This statement itself is correct. Reduction in tariff increases competitive pressure on domestic firms, improving efficiency. This is correct, and that is why tariff reduction is a way to show that we are liberalizing trade. Tariff is a trade barrier. Tariff reduction is a trade liberalization policy. So, second statement is explaining first. Greater integration with global market facilitates technology transfer and productivity gains. Basically, they are talking about the global value chains. That also improves trade liberalization. Third statement is also explaining the first statement. So, both the statement 2 and 3 are correct, and both of them explains statement 1 is the correct answer for question number 90.
Hello everyone, this is your discussion of history test of AIPMT 5 and question here have been covered from 21 to 30 and then from 81 to 85. So, starting with the question number 21 of history section. So, see this particular question is asking about the evolution of the police system during the period. So, in the colonial period you can say the many governor general that came during the period has took some kind of steps in the evolution of the apparatus of the administration during the period. So, first statement is talking about the Cornwallis which has taken steps for the establishment of the regular police system in the colonial period. Also you should understand that no police system had been organized in the British India during the period when it had been established in the Indian subcontinent during the period. So, you better know that what kind of aim or strategy that they must have had in their mind for the establishment of the police system or regular police system in the Indian subcontinent even before their own homeland, okay? Because of the maintenance of the law and order, for the extraction of the maximum revenue in the period, right. This was the major aim. So, Cornwallis is majorly known for the reorganization of the police system or establishment of the police system in the Indian subcontinent for the first time during the period, and with the statement that saying that he modernized the old Indian system of the Thanas and established it under Daroga is correct in that sense. Okay? So, first statement becomes correct. Okay? Second is that Mayo abolished the office of superintendent of police by putting burden on the magistrate is not correct, because he kind of set up this particular office of superintendent of police during the period, not abolished. Abolition was done by William Bentinck, okay, during the same period of the time. Okay. So, first second statement here becomes incorrect. Police Commission 1860 is recommended the establishment of Central Intelligence Bureau in provinces. It was not related to provincial region. ठीक है, provinces पे क्या establishment हुआ था? CID, and in Central Intelligence Bureau was particularly related to the center of the administration. So, this statement also becomes incorrect in that sense. So, only one is the correct option here. So, one only is the only correct option. Next question is regarding the development of Indian press. So, we have seen the development of police system, then we are seeing the development of the press system in the colonial India. Okay? So, see that first statement of this question is saying that Surendranath Banerjee became the first Indian journalist to be imprisoned. If you compare the scenario with the today's journalism, this is not the case, because they were far more better and in ethics in the period, in the colonial period. So, he kind of got imprisoned because of the editorial he published in the Bengali. In the Bengali is the name of the general, okay? Because he was very angered by the decision of judge in the Calcutta High Court during the period about their racial you can say judgment in the period over the Bengalis rituals in the period. So, he kind of made a comment in this particular editorial in this particular journal in an editorial. So, because of that he got imprisoned during the period. So, first statement here becomes correct. Under the Vernacular Press Act, proceedings were instituted around Amrit Bazaar Patrika. They were kind of targeted. Many Indian papers were targeted during the period, but because Amrit Bazaar Patrika got changed from vernacular to English language in the overnight period. Okay? So, it kind of skipped that system and made it many you can say paper which were published in the Hindi or vernacular language during the period, because the name was Vernacular Press Act. Okay? So, many journals or editorials or the patrika that were published during the period in the Hindi was kind of got attacked under the Vernacular Press Act. So, major names that you hear in around this is Som Prakash, then Bharat Mahir. Okay? So, these are the major names, but Amrit Bazaar Patrika got translated, or you can say got changed to its publication in English overnight. So, it kind of skipped. So, second statement here becomes incorrect. Okay? Metcalfe Act came to be nicknamed as Gagging Act, as it abolished the right to appeal against the colonial press policies. Is also not correct, because the Gagging Act was majorly related to Vernacular Press Act, because it kind of disrupted the Indian publishers, and even it kind of abolished the right to appeal. Okay? So, these were the kind of very discriminatory practices that were brought by Vernacular Press Act. So because of that, it was known as Gagging Act. But Metcalfe Act is known as Liberation of the Press Act. Okay? Liberation of the press. So Metcalfe is very famously known for the good things, not for the gagging things. So this statement here becomes incorrect in that sense. Okay? So first is only correct option. So A is the answer here. Okay? Next question is around this terminology, which is Gomastha, and if you know this term, which is also very much is in your NCERT books also, because this is related to the, you can say, Indian agents or paid managers of the British East India Company. What happened that these are the major Indian people who used to act as an agent and used to, you can say, hire the poor peasants or poor beavers during the period, and who used to work in the factories of the Britishers during the period. So they were the kind of, you can say, agent during the period. So Gomastha is particularly known for that thing. So B is the correct option here. Okay? Next question is around the Gandhi-Irwin Pact, also very famously known as Delhi Pact, which has put the Indian government, or you can say the Congress, as on the equal footing with the British government, is correct, because it was kind of Gandhiji was representing Indian people during the period, and the Governor General Irwin was representing the British government, and this pact has put both the government or Congress party and the British government on the equal footing. So first statement here becomes correct. Okay? Irwin on the behalf of government agreed on the public inquiry into the police excesses is not correct. It has agreed on few things. This pact has agreed on the few things, that there will be the release of the political prisoners during the period who will be not committed of the violence during the period. Apart from that, they gave this right of peaceful picketing of the during the period. So these were the few rights that were given by the Gandhi-Irwin Pact, but this particular statement that it has agreed for the public inquiry into the police excesses is not correct. So second statement here becomes incorrect. So A will be the only correct option here. Okay? Okay, next question is around this participation in non-cooperational movement, and the few major persons who, or you can say groups, that participated in the non-cooperational movement have been mentioned here, that how a student participated. They left the government colleges during the period, they left the government school during the period and joined the national initiative during the period, like Kasi and Gujarat Vidyapit. Okay? So this was one few, you can say few things that, or you can say few things that were initiated by the students during the period. So first statement here becomes correct in that sense. In similar ways, women had also supported the movement by offering the ornament during the period for the Tilak Fund, okay, during the non-cooperation movement. So second statement also becomes correct. Okay? Muslims had a lukewarm response to the movement due to growing alienation from the Congress is not correct. This movement has shown this participation of the Muslims in the larger number, and this Hindu-Muslim unity is particularly very famously known for this non-cooperation movement. You must have heard about the Khilafat movement that took place around the same period, and you can say the same because it is also the non-cooperation movement is very famously also known as non-cooperation Khilafat movement. Okay? So Hindu-Muslim unity was there. There were few incidences of the communal violence during the period, like Mopla uprising, but majorly you see this Hindu-Muslim unity during the non-cooperation movement. So third statement here becomes incorrect in that sense. Okay? So first and 2 is correct, so A will be the answer. Okay? Okay. Next question is around Mahatma Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose ka ideological differences or similarities. Okay? So if you see the first statement, both Gandhi and Bose subscribed to the Western form of socialism is not correct, because Gandhiji obviously did not subscribe to the Western form of socialism, and he kind of agreed for the socialism concept or socialist philosophy, but it was majorly aligned to the policies of Jayaprakash Narayan during the period, and not with the policies of the Western kind of socialism. So Bose was kind of inclined to the Western form of socialism, but Gandhiji was inclined to the socialist policies, but like Jayaprakash Narayan policies. Okay? So first statement here becomes incorrect in that sense. Both Gandhi and Bose were the religious men and disliked communism is correct. Okay? Third is that both Gandhi and Bose did not advocate for the parliamentary system of government, is also correct, because Gandhi also kind of did not like the parliamentary system of the government, and he was very much rooting for the you can say village or Gram Swaraj kind of government, and in similar way Bose was also very much not liking the parliamentary system of government. He was also wanting that a diverse country like India should have one party government and a strong government, so that it can rule over the country and control the policies of the country. So both of them did not like this parliamentary system of government, is also correct. Okay? So second and third will be the correct option here. So C is the answer. Okay? Next question is around this individual satyagraha, okay, which was so initiated by the Gandhiji during the period, and the first satyagrahi of this was Vinoba Bhave. Okay? So if you see the major demands of this individual satyagraha during the movement, because the World War were also going under around this movement also. So first demand was around demanding of this freedom of speech against the war declaration during the period. Apart from that, they were also demanding that their demands should be accepted by the British government during the period. So these are the few things that they were demanding. So first statement is correct here, and the second statement that it aimed to ultimately comment or culminate into the Delhi Cholo movement, is also correct, because Gandhiji has said that if British government or colonial government did not stop you, so you should march to the villages and combine yourself and then move to the Delhi. So this is another correct statement of this question. So C will be the answer here, both 1 and 2. Okay. Next statement, next question is around this assertion region question, that Asoka Dhamma is regarded as a sectarian faith inspired by Buddhist idol. It was inspired by the Buddhist idol Asoka Dhamma, very famously known for the religious policies of the Ashoka during the period, but it cannot be regarded as a sectarian faith. Okay? So statement 1 here becomes incorrect in that sense, but second statement, if you see that Dhamma included a code of conduct, a set of principles that to be accepted and practiced by the people at the large, the concept of the non-violence, paternalism of the king. So these are the few things that were taught by the Ashoka to his disciple or his, you can say, subjects during the period, because he was the ultimate king. So second statement here becomes correct, but first is not correct. So D will be the answer. Okay, next question around the various foreign travelers of the period and the major books related to them, and in which of the following dynasty they visited or covered. Okay? So if you see the first option, that Fahian has written this Siyuki, is not correct. It was related to Hyun Shang, okay? And he has mentioned about various socio-economic, political, cultural activity during the period of the Vardhana dynasty. Okay? So first statement here becomes, first option here becomes incorrect. Ibn Battuta, very famous Moroccan travel during the period, was related to this kingdom of Delhi Sultanate, and he has written this book Rihla. So second option here becomes correct, and very famously related to the court of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So this is another information that you can take from here. So second is correct here. Abdul Razak, very famous Persian traveler during the period, is related to the Vijayanagar kingdom, and he has written this book of Multi-Sudan, is also correct. Okay? So second and third is correct here, so D will be the answer. Okay. Next question is around this Indian Buddhist monk in China who is credited with bringing Chan Buddhism to China and founded this Salain monastery of martial art and tradition. So very famously known this Bodhidharma is related to this you can say practice, and also he is very famously known for this starting of the mock and you can say this physical exercise and meditation thing in Chinese region of the during the period, and he is also very famously known for the starting of the silent kung fu. Okay? So C is your answer here. Okay? Next question is on this Chishti scent. Banda Nawaz, he is also very famously in news in this period of the time. So that's why this question has been asked. And the statement related to this question is that he has been invited by Ibrahim II, the Sultan of Bijapur. But this is not correct because he was not invited by Ibrahim II, but he was invited by Firoz Shah Bahmani, very famous king of Bahmani kingdom. So first statement here becomes incorrect in that sense. His greatest contribution was introduction of the Dakhni language is in Deccan is correct. So second is correct, and the third that he has written a commentary on Holy Quran titled Tafsir al-Multaqit and was written by him in Arabic language is also correct. So second and third is correct here. So C will be the option here. If you know this information, this will be an easy guess for you, but if you do not know the information, because this is a kind of tougher question on a tougher side, so you can also leave such question. Okay, because Chishti scents are very famously asked in your UPSC examination, but generally major scents like Muhyiddin and Nijamuddin are generally asked in your examination. So this is a kind of, because this has been in news, so I wanted to take your focus over there. So next question is around the arrange of this socio-religious policies of Akbar. So if you see, the first thing that started in the period was this abolition of the tax on Hindu pilgrimage, around 1562. Then 1563, second thing that happened was this jizya tax, and third thing happened was this. So 3, 1 and 2 will be the answer here. So option is A. Okay. Next question, he is very famously known for all the major, you can say, policies, socio-economic policies or social religious policies that are related during the period Akbar. Apart from the administrative policy that he has taken care of. The last, the next question around this folk dance and the major details that are related to this particular folk dance. If you see the major regions that are associated with this folk dance, the Taramangala is related to Goa region. Kalbelia related to Rajasthan, and Jawara is MP, and Alkap is majorly related to the region of Chota Nagpur or Jharkhand region. So if you see the first match that Taramangala celebrates the youthfulness, Goa region, if you even try to like coordinate, it also becomes correct here. So first is correct here. Second is that Kalbelia is related to Bhil tribe is not correct, because it is majorly related to the region of Rajasthan, and Bhil tribe is region for the MP region, you can say. So here also you can say Kalbelia women are majorly related for the Kalbelia dance or festival. So second option here becomes incorrect in that sense. Jawara is the harvest dance in the Bundelkhand region is correct, and fourth statement that Alkap is related to Rajmal Hill is also correct. So only second option here is not correct. So C will be the answer here. Only 3. Okay. Next question is that the beautiful colorful painting on the walls and roof of this cave depicts tales of ecstatic palakas, deities protecting 8 corners and Jainism. This particular thing is related to the region of or paintings of Arnamalai cave paintings, which is majorly related located in the Tamil Nadu region, and this is a very beautiful cave that had been converted to the Jaina caves during the period, and other 3 caves are also very important for examination, like Jogimara cave is related to the region of Chhattisgarh. Sita Navasal cave is also related to the Tamil Nadu region. Ravanchai rock shelter is related to the Orissa region. So you should at least know which kind of cave paintings are located in which kind of regions of the Indian subcontinent. So these are the few questions, few things that you should remember. Here answer will be B. Okay. Last question of this test is around this new initiative of Gyan Bharatam, which is a flagship initiative of the Ministry of Culture, and which is related to the surveying, documenting, conserving, digitizing, disseminating India's manuscript heritage. So fourth is the D is the correct option here, and this is a initiative that of the Ministry of Culture which has been recently launched in the budget of the last year. So, this initiative, because it is related to the culture part, so that because of that this question has been covered in this test, and I hope you remember this thing also, and for any doubt you reach to the institute. Thank you so much.